Denver Bronco Roundup, Day 3. Stay tuned. Well, this is odd. Good morning, Denver Broncos fans, and welcome to the Denver Bronco Roundup. Of course, we're usually coming to you 6:30 p.m. on a Tuesday, but of course, it's Day 3 draft coverage. Appreciate everyone jumping in here, liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, being part of the conversation. This is a Denver Bronco Roundup like no other because I am the only Denver Bronco Roundup crew member here, but we do have another person. You don't have to stare at me all day long, or at least for one round. We're planning on at least one round. I got the incredible half of the K&K show, Kenny Kirkpatrick, joining me this morning. Kenny, welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Good morning, or I should say good afternoon here on the East Coast. Just reached noontime, 10 minutes, quarter after 12 here on the East Coast. Day 3 of the draft. It's a fun 3 days, and glad I can be with you for a little while today in the morning. I love the Grammy Award winning outfits you've been wearing the last 3 days. So
well, thank you, man. I
remind me
spiced
there
it
a
up a little bit.
little ZZ top on you in you there.
Give me all your loving. Give me all your hugs and kisses too. All right, buddy. I really appreciate Kenny jumping on here. Not usually part of the Denver Bronco Roundup show, but part of one of the main pieces of the K&K Sports Show. Talk a little bit about K&K Sports Show, and then we'll jump into some of these draft picks that are already going off the board, buddy.
Thanks, Keith. I'll do it real quick so we can get into the draft. K&K Sports Show, we started it up during the pandemic, during COVID. Kurt and my co-host Kurt and I came up with a little fun little podcast, and what became fun we've been doing now for 3 years, and we talk about all sports. We cover Broncos. He's a huge Bronco fan, so we cover Denver Broncos for all the Denver Bronco fans out there. And
Kurt will fit that into almost any conversation too for your Bronco fans. But continue, Kenny.
Biggest Bronco fan on the East Coast you'll ever meet. And if anyone is ever on the East Coast, look him up. I'm sure he would love to hang out with you all. We do all sports, East Coast, West Coast, whatever interactive talk show. All Wednesday nights, 6 p.m. Mountain Time.
Yep.
And Thursday nights when football season starts, we do a show called Wits and Wagers. And that's self-explanatory. It's a little fun little wagering show, all legal. We'll give you some advice and some betting tips. We have a nice little panel there. And then myself and the co-host of mine, Carson, started a new show. So we're doing maybe 1 or 2 shows a month called Let's Talk About. And that's more for the audience out there that's more just sports. We talk about anything and everything. And we come up with little fun topics. We had you on, Keith, and we talked about, celebrity crushes that night. So we got a lot of things going on. We're keeping busy and enjoying it. And I appreciate you giving me the couple minutes there to talk about the shows.
Yeah, man. Hey, if you got a great show like the K&K Sports Show, you get to come on here and you get to plug it, and it's fantastic. I'm tuning in all the time. I'm getting knowledge for whether it be for my Broncos or any sports around the league. Go check them out, K&K Sports Show. I'll get you guys caught up because already we're getting warmed up. Nick Saldiveri goes first to the Saints, Old Dominion. guard. Next was Jacorian Bennett, who went to our rival Las Vegas Raiders, a cornerback. Maybe they're a little bit scared about the wide receiver talent we put on the field with Mims in yesterday. And then the Eagles traded up, buddy. The Eagles traded up into the Houston spot, and they take Keely Ringo, cornerback, Georgia. That name kind of finally goes off the board, I guess you could say, because I think he was projected just a little bit higher.
Three Georgia Bulldogs in this draft for the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's
I
true.
don't know if I really like that. They've all dropped for some reason, and there might be a lot of egos there. Just saying. We all know why Jalen Carter dropped, but the linebacker dropped, and now Ringo really dropped. So a lot of teams didn't like him. So I don't know. We'll see if they all pan out. But why are all Georgia Bulldogs dropping if they're the best team in college football?
Especially on the defensive side. Yeah. Mm-hmm. On that defensive side of the ball. Offenses sometimes struggle to translate to the NFL, but defensive guys do not. And you bring up a great point, because you brought it up last night, Kenny. It's really surprising how these Georgia Bulldogs aren't being taken maybe where we thought they would. Like you said, Jalen Carter aside, there's a lot of talent that a lot of people expected to go sooner. What's the inside information? Maybe we end up finding that out later down the road. I hope these guys pan out. I was, for day one, I just want to say this real quick. We had a coach on, and he did remind me, hey, these guys are just kids. Let's not try to get too much built up into them, and let's give them a chance too. So Keely Ringo gets a chance as he's traded up to between Houston and Philadelphia to get that pick.
Yep. And so one more guy out there for George. I'm curious now if everybody's dropping. Is Stetson Bennett going to get drafted?
Man, I'll tell you what, Stetson Bennett is one of my, especially as a Broncos guy, wanting to add maybe a quarterback to this room. Guantanamo or whatever his name is, our third, after Stidham and obviously after Russell Wilson, is not likely to be on this roster or on this team. If he is, he's competing for that third spot. Stetson Bennett, I know, once again, I'm not a big college football fan. I'm not always the best at prognosticating, especially when it comes to quarterbacks, but I don't see why there's such a large disparity between him and some of these other guys that have been talked about during this whole draft cycle. I think he's a quality guy. Yeah, he's not the biggest guy. He's not the tallest guy, but that could be said for a few of these picks that we've seen going.
I honestly think he could fit right in as a backup quarterback day one if needed on a professional football team. I think he's better than I think he could be better than a lot of the backup quarterbacks in the NFL.
Does he have a realistic opportunity of ever being a QB1 though? And what's holding him back, Kenny? I don't see. I guess I don't see it as much. You follow the college game a little bit better than I.
You gotta. I just look at his size maybe is the big thing maybe, but Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, fell in the right place, right? Nobody ever thought he would have even started a game. That third string quarterback, and he just fell right into place. Tom Brady, the greatest of all time. Who knows what he would have been if Drew Bledsoe doesn't get hurt. Yeah. So yes, if the situation falls into place, Stetson Bennett maybe. Yeah. If somebody falls down and gets hurt, you got to see.
Gets that opportunity.
Yeah.
Colts end up taking the fourth round. Go Blake Freeland, offensive tackle out of BYU. A guy that I looked at a lot for our Denver Broncos. Of course, offensive tackle is someplace that we could have gone, especially before free agency. Blake Freeland was a name I was kind of looking at. Fits a little bit more in a zone scheme, in my opinion, than in a power scheme like I think we're trying to go. So he wasn't high up on my board, but the Colts get solidify that offensive line as they may also have a brand new quarterback that they'll be grooming for the future as well.
Yep, and you're starting to see some offensive linemen for depth, I think, too, now going in this round. If an offensive lineman gets hurt, they could fit these guys in. Fourth, fifth round, they're trying to get some backup and some depth, I think, on the offensive line. That's why you're seeing a couple of these guys go. I seen these guys, I got a list up here on my screen, and I had this Blake Freeland and Saldivari going early in this round. So that is about accurate
Yeah,
from what
yeah.
I'm looking at.
Good prognostication there, buddy. Good talent. Like I said, it's talent that I was looking at because, again, I thought they would be available to us as the Denver Broncos, only having some really mid-round picks. As we started off this draft, Blake Freeland was a guy that I kind of had going in this range as well. Just wasn't my favorite guy. We can get back and forth in between the draft. We all, at least I know, and for those of you who don't know, Kenny is the huge Giants fan, and so if you didn't catch us last night, his Giants have been active, and he's been pretty happy. But just talk about a little bit about what your Giants have going now. I would say building into this next season. I know you still have some more draft picks that you guys are going to put together. You guys, signed a quarterback. You have a franchise tag that's sitting out there. But talk a little bit about maybe what you've also put together in this draft and where you see the Giants going in this next season, bud.
When I looked at the draft, Keith, felt the Giants needed 3 positions in this draft, and one of them was wide receiver.
Check.
One of them was center, and another one was secondary. And the order that I would have wanted before the draft started was wide receiver, center, corner, secondary. But now looking at it, we got a day one starter in DeAndre Baker. In my opinion, Maryland, grew up in Baltimore area, went to the University of Maryland. He's got nice eyes. He's physical. I think he'll fit right in Wink Martindale's scheme. And in the Big Ten, with a lot of good wide receivers, they played Ohio State. They played Penn State. They played Michigan.
Yeah.
He hasn't given up more than 50 yards in one game.
Oh, wow.
And that's pretty good. And he was listed as the number 3 ranked corner. So I think that's why you saw the Giants move up for him in the first round. It was one spot, but they wanted to make sure that they got him over Joey Porter. He was probably number 1 guy on their list, obviously, if they took him over Joey Porter Jr., who was also available.
Yes.
In the second round, I think there was a 1 and 1A at center, and that was the Wisconsin kid and the Minnesota kid. And I would have been happy with either one. And we got the Minnesota kid from Minnesota Gophers. He, in my opinion, will be a day one starter. And now we have 3 young guys on the offensive line that could be there for the next 5 or 7 years. And that's Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal, bookend tackles to go along with it.
That's amazing.
And then in the third round, I think we got a guy who was, some mocks had him as going in the first round to the Giants, and that was Jalen Hyatt, a deep threat wide receiver. If he can learn how to run some routes, he could be a steal of the draft. But he's a deep play weapon receiver for Daniel Jones, who I watched in college, Jalen Hyatt, and was ecstatic when the Giants picked him in round 3 and couldn't believe he was there in round 3. And we moved up quite a few spots to get him. So I'm happy with the Giants overall so far. I give them like an A- in the draft so far. Maybe even a solid A, but I'll say A-. I don't think they've done anything wrong, and they're going with what they need.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Giants did a fantastic job. It's a franchise that's been building in the right direction, in my opinion. I know that your cohort at the K&K Sports Show isn't all that agreeable to the contract that Daniel Jones received. But once we start seeing a guy like Lamar Jackson and what he's getting paid, it all becomes relative, in my opinion. It's not a bad deal. Hope it pans out, though, because he doesn't have a large sample size of being fantastic. Last year was a good year. They did have a little bit easier schedule. We'll see what's to come, but they're certainly putting the pieces around him in order to be successful as well. They didn't really have a wide receiver core. That poor guy was out there throwing to nobody, man. Nobody. So, to pick up that wide receiver, to pick up that tackle, to pick up that center, pick up the center, the tackles were already there. To pair with those tackles, like you said, building in the right direction and really giving him a chance to either succeed or fail. One of the two. It's all in Daniel Jones's hands. He bet on himself last year. Boy, they're betting on him again this year with the team they're putting around him. I like what they're doing. I hope Saquon comes back. I hope that he doesn't hold out too long, and I hope that that doesn't translate to injuries like we've seen in the past. I've always liked Saquon, and I think he's a key piece to your guys' team too.
And you nailed it, Keith. So I'm curious to see where the next Giants pick will be, because that could be another need now if Saquon doesn't come back. That's a definite need, is running back. And we only have Matt Breida and Gary Brightwell on the roster right now.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
So yeah.
Speaking of picks, we'll get caught up on a few. Kenny calls it, and the fact that we're getting that run on offensive linemen, that the depth is here in the 4th round. Jake Andrews, center, goes to the Patriots out of Troy. I'm sorry, and then Anthony Bradford, guard, LSU, goes to the Seattle Seahawks. So that run is starting to pick up there, bud. Started right off with the guard Nick Saldiveri going to the Saints, and Blake Freeland, and now center and guard again. So what we got, 4 of the 6 picks so far have been offensive line. So
Yeah, mostly interior offensive line, I think, with the exception of one guy. So I think the interior run is starting to go now, and rightfully so, because you don't really pick the interior lineman much in the 1st round, or even you get them some in the 2nd round, but the second tier in the 4th round, you get some nice value at interior linemen.
Correct. That offensive tackle, that Blake Freeland, for instance, that end up going, that's kind of an outlier. Those guys are typically, if they're good, they're getting picked near the top. You know what I mean? If you're an excellent offensive tackle, don't expect to be sitting there in the 4th and 5th round and, teams being able to pick you up for a great value. It happens sometimes, don't get me wrong, but in general, you're right. These interior offensive linemen, this is where you really start to see the value kind of play out. Houston Texans go edge out of TCU, Dylan Horton. Maybe trying to finally solidify some of that defense, as they kind of obviously focused a little bit on offense as well. So
yeah, you would think they're going to pick some defensive guys with their head coach. So I could definitely see them making a little run on some defensive players that fit his style.
Yeah, 100%, buddy. I didn't look ahead. When is your guys' next pick?
I have to look it up.
Oh, boy.
I think we made some trades. That's why, because we would have been in the 20s, but with the trades, I want to say we're not there now. So let me just look it up for you.
Not a problem, buddy. Not a problem.
Where are you guys?
Yeah,
you got up, right?
I think we're round 5, if I remember. I similarly, my morning was kind of crazy, so I apologize. And in fact, that's why I need to apologize to anybody who was waiting for us, hoping that we'd go on right at 10 o'clock. Didn't work out for me, so we were a little bit behind. But I appreciate everyone that's jumped in and being part of the shows. But I'm going to take a look at that as well, buddy. See where
break between our next. The Giants gave up 128 to the Rams, so the Giants do not have a pick until round 5. They don't have a pick in this round either.
No picks
because
for
of the
you
trades.
either, huh?
Yeah, because we gave up the center. Yesterday we traded with the Rams.
When John Michael Smith's, when you guys traded up for John Michael Smith. Yeah, gotcha. So we're similarly no pick 5. We have 2 in round 6. We're 183 and 195. So we're a ways down there too. So no 4th round, no 5th round. We're sitting here doing more draft coverage than we're doing team coverage here, buddy, as we speak. I guess is the best way to put it. So.
Yep.
Colts,
I think, got a decent pick here. I can't. If you could say his name, you get bonus points.
Adetomowa Adebawore is his name.
Oh,
Adebawore, I know, is the right pronunciation on that last name. Defensive tackle out of Northwestern. Yeah, he's a beast, man.
It's a nice little pick there. I like that pick. And Colts, They got Buckner over there. They got a nice little interior line over defensive line over there. So they got their defense has always been pretty good. You know, if they can get the offense rolling, that could be maybe a sneaky little team there in the AFC South if the Jaguars falter. You know,
Yeah, they put man. That's one of my top teams for putting together a great draft. Though they have done fantastic as well.
unbelievable job.
Unbelievable. Getting back to Adebawore, here's a guy that I talked last night when we saw Demarvian Overshawn go, Texas kid, linebacker. I said, here's a guy that is just a freak athlete that has athleticism beyond comparison, and you just find a way to put him on the field. I feel the same way about Adebawore. Here's a guy, he's 6'2", 282 pounds, ran a 4.49, 37.5 vertical, and a 10.5 inch broad jump. Just a beast at defensive tackle. Obviously, a little bit of a lighter guy. He's not going to be the heavy guy. Not going to play the interior, I guess you could say. But a 4.49, that's not what you're looking for. This guy can turn a corner like nobody's business. Really like this pick, man. One of those freak athletes I liked.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Looking at some of the guys that may go soon that I like here, KJ Henry out of Clemson, the edge rusher. Tyler Steen, interior lineman, Alabama, still on the board.
Nice.
Luke Musgrave, tight end, Oregon State. There were a lot of talks about him. I don't know. He might go soon. I see the Browns are on the clock as early as this next pick. You might see Luke Musgrave. I think he's the best tight end on the board by far. And then some running backs. Israel Abakanaba, you guys with Kanata, out of Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Rashawn Johnson, backed up Bijan Robinson. We all know, sometimes the guy behind the star running back doesn't get all the play. That could be a sleeper pick, Rashawn Johnson. And, so I do like that. And a couple wide receivers. There's Speedster out of Cincinnati still available. I think, but he's small, but he runs a 4.39. I think he ran at the combine. So a little speedster there.
Yep.
And Henry Tototo is still out there for another Crimson Tide linebacker. So some good value here in the fourth round. Some good players that I think will contribute on teams, in my opinion. So we'll see what happens in these next few picks. But I still see a lot of good value in this fourth round.
Yeah. I was just looking over some of my notes, see who I had still left up there. Keitrell Clark, cornerback out of Louisville. If you're looking for some of those, and here's a guy that we were talking about. I think you might even brought it up, Kenny, because Cleveland took offensive tackle DeJuan Jones, Ohio State.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. That's one that we kind of expected to go last night at one point. So good pickup here in the fourth round for the Cleveland Browns, in my opinion, as well. So
yeah, I think I gotta agree with you.
Emil Ekiyor Jr. Was he already taken? I can't remember. That's another guy
I don't see him on my board here. Let me see. Just looking a little further down. Yeah, I don't see him. Tyler Scott's the kid from Cincinnati that I was talking about. Couldn't think of his name. I think he's going to be a speedster and a little dangerous slot receiver that's still out there.
One guy that I really liked, played a lot of safety, can also play nickelback out of Florida State, Jamie Robinson. Ran a 4.39 in the 40. Could be an inside line, or plays a little bit more nickel. I was looking at other notes here. But, 5'11", 191 pounds. Kind of, like I said, safety nickel. Comes down with a head of steam. Always has a great nose for the ball. Kind of one of my outliers as far as that freak talent athlete. Maybe not as impressive as some of the other guys I listed off, but that's a guy I really like. Chad Ryland, kicker, goes to the Patriots here out of Maryland.
Out of Maryland, wow. That went over I thought for sure if the next kicker was going to be the kid from Ohio State to come off the board. Noah Roberts.
Yeah, I would agree, man. He was projected quite high. So Chad Ryland, and quite honestly, kind of surprising we're already seeing another kicker come off the board, in my opinion, as well.
That
Just a
that pick
lot of
kind of surprises me. I thought they were happy with Nick Folk over there in New England. I know he's getting up there in age, but the guy's consistent.
Yeah, not only is he consistent, you look at all the needs that the Patriots may have. I don't know if I would have put kicker up there on the top of the list. So,
Yeah, that's a head
boy,
scratcher for sure.
those are one of those picks like we were talking last night. When you add a guy like a kicker in the third round, like we saw let go last night, that usually means, hey, I'm pretty well set. I'm adding the last pieces of the puzzle at this point, and we're not gonna pass on a talent like this. It's not not usually a place where you see a team that's trying to build and trying to get their program back to where it was, go out and get a kicker. But Clark Phillips, the third cornerback out of Utah, goes to Atlanta. So,
I like that pick. I
do you?
think special teams contributor. Utah was Pac-12. A lot of offensive teams out there in the Pac-12. So I look at it like that. Like when I look at cornerbacks, corners, I should say. Uh, my New York accent's coming in. So corner and quarter are going to sound alike. The CB, the CB, we'll call it.
There you go.
Uh, I like it because you got USC out there, you got UCLA, you got Oregon, and these guys are going up against legit wide receivers every week with their team schedules, and you know he's gonna. I just Pac-12 is a throwing league, so
There you go.
I like him. I like the pick. He'll probably be a special teams contributor for them, and maybe a slot corner.
Okay. Very good, man. Well, it's not a guy that was necessarily, even though cornerback is a place that we were looking. Obviously, the Broncos taking Riley last night from Iowa. Kind of a surprising trade up, as the Broncos, you know, wasn't the expected name, especially as far as our panel last night. That's not where we thought we were going. But hey, we certainly need some depth in our cornerback room. Riley Moss. The more I looked at him this morning, I was pretty happy. This is a name that just went to the Carolina Panthers that I really liked, and that's. I'll say this too. I liked him. I shouldn't say I really liked him, but I did like him. The Broncos brought him in for a private visit. Chandler Zavala, guard out of NC State, goes to the Carolina Panthers. So, man, they're continuing on that path to make sure that offense is going to be put together as best as possible, bud.
And you know what? Carolina also has a tackle from NC State, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but they drafted him number one last year.
Oh,
I forget his name, but they do. So then they got teammates on that offensive line. I kind of like that.
that is true, man. When certainly worked out for places like Cincinnati with Joe Burrows and Jamar Chase. I wouldn't mind trying it some other places too. Why not the offensive line for the Carolina Panthers?
I
It's true
see.
when you've worked together that long and you can come in and you can communicate, and one guy can help the next guy come into the program and help him understand it. There's something to be said for that, and no different than when we were talking about Joey Porter Jr. You know, last night. Even if you wouldn't have went to the Steelers, the fact that his dad had been an NFL player at the highest level, he'd been around it, he'd been on the Super Bowl field for that matter, as a small kid, you learn the ins and outs. There's not as many surprises, going into that type of situation. So, yeah, good insight, I guess you could say, Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick, and knowing that these guys are going to be now teammates reunited. So,
Mr. My co-host and best friend, Mr. Valenti, I see he's listening out there, but if he
ah,
is, maybe he could help us with that Carolina offensive lineman that they took last year, Kurt.
yeah, Kurt coming in saying, love, love, love our draft. Sean Payton running the show. Now you go get a home run running back, speed guy. Yeah, I mean, running back is a place that obviously has not been addressed yet. A lot of people thought we were going to go center, Kurt, and that hasn't been addressed yet. A lot of people thought, we could go down the list, whether it be safety. Running back is certainly, though, a place that, beyond Samaje Perine, we don't have a whole lot of depth. I know that people are saying, "Oh, we've got a few guys in the room." Those guys are guys that most other fans across the NFL would have no idea who these guys were. They might even have a hard time knowing who Samaje Perine is, for that matter. So as we wait for Javonte Williams to come back, hopefully to where he was, we do need to add some depth. I do bring out the fact that, whether you look at, and why his name has been escaping me lately, our main running back played in Baltimore for a long time. We got him off the Saints practice squad. Kenny, can you help me out at all?
Latavius Murray.
Thank you. Latavius Murray. I just was escaping me, So, Latavius Murray, as I just kind of went through, was not even a guy that we had on this roster. Yet, basically ended up carrying the Broncos as we picked him up from the practice squad in the mid-season. Same thing when we went ahead and we traded for our backup with Miami to, and brought in our backup. And now I'm going to forget his name too, but that's okay. These guys don't have to be top-level draft talent. They don't have to be, large trades or big names. We don't need to go out and get Zeke. We don't need to go out and get a big name. Sometimes you can literally pick up with guys kind of off the street these days. Unfortunately, it's the way the running back position has gone. So
I'm just looking at the next pick.
Yeah. You want to talk about it, buddy? You can announce this one.
The Bears just took the Texas running back we were just talking about, Roschon Johnson, and this could be a steal. This could be a steal. They lost David Montgomery. They got Khalil Herbert over there, but this kid, Roschon Johnson, had to play behind arguably the best running back in college football last year. So, Bijan Robinson, Roschon Johnson might be a top 5 running back. We just don't know because of him being behind the elite Bijan Robinson, college elite player in Bijan Robinson. We have to see if that translates to the NFL. But this could be a very late round steal here for the Bears.
Yeah, trying to add weapons. They've been concentrating and making sure that Justin Fields is taken care of. It seems like that's been a press for the Bears as well. And now they go ahead and they get him, make sure that maybe he's a little bit taken care of with a good running game. As like you said, David Montgomery no longer part of the equation. I think it's a great pickup. It's something that's needed. You can't leave this guy without weapons, and a running game is the quarterback's best weapon in most instances, right? So, I think it's a good pickup.
NFC North, where they lost Aaron Rodgers, the Packers, he's out, and I know the Bears were 3-14 last year. I personally am not an Ohio State quarterback fan, so I don't know if Justin Fields is going to be the guy going forward, but they're trying. DJ Moore, Chase Claypool. Now they drafted this running back. They got Cole Kmet at tight end. They're building an offense for him, so it's going to be put up or shut up for Mr. Justin Fields. There's no way around it. Kurt is answering us, Keith. It was Ikem Ekwonu. Ike Ekwonu, they call it. Ekwonu. He was picked number 6 last year by the Panthers because he was rumored for the Giants. And then we got Evan Neal right after him at 7. So it was a 1-1A, a 1A, 1B, I should say, for the Giants. And we ended up with Evan Neal. And the Panthers took Ike Ekwonu. But now they got their college teammates playing on that line next to each other. That I like that.
Yeah, that, like you said, that'll be really interesting, getting Chandler Zavala and getting him matched up. It's kind of more of an in-depth thought process, If you guys got there, if you have guys that are there that you like equally, to go to that level and say, is this a factor? Hey, maybe it is. And like I said, I think it's a great thought process, and the Panthers are doing something pretty special. So
I got a question for you and Kurt, as a Bronco fan, if he's still out there. Kurt mentioned in his comment before, Keith, he loves the draft. He needs to go get a home run running back speed guy. So if that speed guy's not in free agency, who is the guy? Who's a speed guy left in this draft? Off the top of your head, if you can think of anybody who you want the Broncos to pick, because it's going to be a late pick. Is there a speed guy out there you're thinking of, Kurt? Keith? Anybody else out there want to answer it?
Yeah, my first guy that comes to mind, one of those guys that I've loved above and beyond a lot of the running back that's already been taken. It's the guy out of Pitt, Abacananda. I really like this kid. He's quick. He's elusive. He can catch the ball. He. I love the effort that he puts in. I saw so many times where either he's barely getting into the end zone, but it's because guys are dragging off of him, and doesn't give up, and he fights for every yard. Man, I like what this kid puts on tape. Small guy, fast guy, fits that mold, in my opinion. But that's my guy. Other guys that I see, I just don't know if we'll be able to see him in the 6th round. Sean Tucker is a guy that we brought in out of Syracuse. Zach Evans is still sitting out of there, out of Mississippi. Keaton Mitchell out of Carolina. These are all names that we've been kind of looking at. And then maybe a little bit later, Chris Rodriguez Jr. So those are my names off the top. But if I can get Abacananda, man, I would be off the charts happy, buddy. I think that's a home run for the Denver Broncos.
There's Deuce Vaughn could be sneaky later pick. Little sneaky smaller back. There's the kid from Minnesota. I don't know what necessarily want to call him a speed back, but Ibrahim is another running back to look for late in the draft. He was Minnesota's all-time leading rusher. He got hurt, so that's why I think he's dropping in drafts. But you take a shot in the 6th and 7th round on a guy that could be, a player, a starting player, not necessarily a starting player, but a role player. You take that shot. So those are two names to look for later on.
Yeah. If you wanted to go a little bit different direction, if you didn't want that speed guy, if you wanted that downhill guy, and you were looking late, maybe even undrafted, Cam Peoples out of Appalachian State, 6'1", 217 pounds, good running back. Only ran a 4.61 though, not a blazing fast guy, more of a downhill runner. So if you're looking to go a little bit different direction, that's a guy that I would watch as well. So. Man, I guess we should get back over to what's happening in the draft I guess, as well,
Sure.
buddy. See what's going on. See if I can
Looks
pull
like
that.
Commanders are on the clock now. Packers pick right before that. I can't see from here who they picked. Looks like somebody by the last name Wooden.
Yeah,
Woodson.
yeah. Kobe Wooden.
Yep.
Colby Wooden. I'm gonna try to see if I can pull it up. My internet's everyone's watching the NFL draft, and everyone's probably looking for all these different stats pages. But Colby Wooden, if I remember right, cornerback, pretty good kid, was kind of rising up a little bit. I'll be honest, I didn't scout this kid a whole lot, even though we were in need of cornerback. Just didn't hit my portion of the board, I guess you could say. So, but Packers finally, go with a defensive route after it seemed like they were trying to snub their nose at Aaron Rodgers and take every single offensive weapon they could possibly get with their picks. So after that, man, another name. This name a little bit more realistic, I guess. Maybe the Patriots just fell in love with their kicker, but City Sow out of Eastern Michigan, guard, and then Brandon Daniels, guard out of Utah, went to the Commanders. So we getting back on that interior offensive lineman run that you were talking about there, Kenny.
Yep, I like that City Sow pick. The MAC conference seems to put out some decent offensive linemen. Central Michigan, I think he was a first-round pick a couple years ago. So the MAC does put out some decent linemen, and the run of interior linemen's going, and I think it's the value. It's the value round for them. The interior lineman seems to be a popular way to go in round 4.
Yeah, it could continue. Obviously, if they see the value, the Chiefs could obviously go interior lineman. The Jets are on the clock. The pick is in for the Chiefs. Jets are coming up next. And then it's the ever surprising Jacksonville Jaguars after that. We'll see what they end up continuing to do, as they seem to be one of the darlings of the draft, in my opinion. I know that you like what you've done with what your New York Giants have done so far, giving them a top grade there, buddy. And obviously, Mr. Kurt Valente's loving what the Denver Broncos have done, but
Yep.
you gotta love what the Jacksonville Jaguars have put together. It's been pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's it's going to be a dangerous team next few years. I'm going to make a prediction for the Jets. I'm going to throw my top selection is going to. They're going to get Aaron Rodgers a weapon. I think you're going to see a tight end go here. Could be Luke Musgrave. It could be the kid from Miami, a little further down my list. Let me find him.
Yeah.
Josh Wiley out of Cincinnati, but the tight end I'm going to say it's either Musgrave or Will Mallory out of Miami.
Oh, very good. Very
They're
good.
going to get him a weapon. They're kind of don't have a strength there at tight ends, so maybe a little weapon here next when the Jets pick. Another option could be that speedster I said out of Cincinnati, the kid who ran 4.39, Tyler Scott. But I think the Jets go get Aaron Rodgers, an added weapon in this draft, and I think this is the spot to do it.
Very good, man. Yeah, few names still left there. Obviously, Broncos will be maybe looking tight end as well. Zach Kuntz is another name that I kind of like out of Old Dominion. Could be a good weapon there. Payne Durham is another guy, but he's more of an inline blocking type of guy, in my opinion. I agree. If the Packers wanted to go on that, if the Jets wanted to go ahead and get Aaron Rodgers, that tight end as a compliment certainly has the possibility. So let's see where we're at right now. Kansas City Chiefs go Shamari Connor, cornerback out of Virginia Tech. So
don't know him too well, but he was on my board here in day 3 picks towards the little lower than the middle of the 3rd round. So it's about right where he was projected to go in this round. I don't have too much on him, though. They call him a safety. I got him listed as a corner here. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wonder if he's a hybrid. Wonder if he's a hybrid that can play both spots.
Looks just looking over a brief description. 4-year starter and a 2-time team captain. Got to love a guy that brings leadership like that. Has experience as a big nickel and true safety. So that's your answer there.
And you know what? That probably means he will be a special teams contributor for the Chiefs as well, and depth if they need him in the secondary. So that's a nice little pick, unfortunately, for the Chiefs, for the Bronco fans.
Yeah. Yep. Good coverage tight end from what I understand. It takes a few chances. Obviously, that's lower body control, they say, and might be an issue. So that being said, that's why you see a guy like this in the 4th round. Hopefully, he's no one we have to worry about. But the pick is in for the Jets that you were talking about, thinking maybe that this is the spot where they go tight end. Be interesting.
Tight end
or
the speedster wide receiver would be my backup pick. Tyler Scott would be my backup, but I think they need tight end more than anything on that offense.
Interesting. It would be obviously
CJ Zuma's okay, but that's their tight end. So
we'll see how much they want to please Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, they've been trying to bring in just about everybody they could for him. They had picks lined up in New York before Aaron Rodgers even emerged from his dark place, to come to New York. So they've been trying to entice him, whether it be Nathaniel Hackett or Lazard. Lazard's now a Jet, if I remember correctly.
Jet, McCall Hardman, yep.
Yeah.
And of course they got Garrett Wilson.
Yes.
And Elijah Moore.
Yeah. And
of course Breece Hall coming back.
I'm glad they didn't go as far as Randall Cobb, though, man, because I know that he wanted Randall Cobb to come as well. there was rumors at least of that. And my goodness, at some point you got to turn the page when you have a guy like Garrett Wilson also on your roster.
Speaking of rumors, while commercial is still on for the draft and waiting on the Jets pick, Antonio Brown said he's going to be rumored to be playing with the Ravens. What are your thoughts on that, Keith?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, I mean,
Antonio Brown and OBJ on the same team.
yeah, that's a little OBJ, since he's left New York, seems like he's better. I think that his frustration level boiled over in New York at one point. But he seems, I mean, don't get me wrong, he still thinks he's, should be valued quite highly. But his overall demeanor, I think, has gotten a little better. AB, man, I still go back to that Cincinnati hit. I really think going back, and I feel bad for the guy. You look at those interviews. You look at when he was out there and he was young, and he is a completely different person. Something changed.
Yeah.
I hope. I don't know if it was the hit that he took. Who was who was it? Burfitt that hit him?
Vontae Burfict. Yep.
Yeah.
Vontae Burfict.
Yeah. I mean, just earhold the guy, and it doesn't seem. It really does. I mean, I know that's another tinfoil hat idea, but a lot of people speculate that because it does seem like a switch was triggered at that point. Just a different cat, man. And good luck to Baltimore if he's rolling into town. I don't, not very many teams have been able to corral him. And if Tom Brady, living in Tom Brady's house and the whole 9 yards can't work out, I don't know how it's going to work out and up in Baltimore. That sounds like a bad news, man.
That's going to be a little scary. Taking him on the team, like, I mean, Ravens. I think Ravens are going to be a good team. Bring Dez back. Yep.
Yeah. It finally came through, buddy. Offensive tackle Carter Warren.
Wow.
Pittsburgh. Surprising to you?
That is a little surprising to me because it's in the 4th round now, offensive tackle. I guess they're looking at depth for Aaron Rodgers. I guess they feel they got enough weapons, but I think they need tight end depth. I think that's been a weak position for the Jets for years. And, you can have the receivers, but I think you need a tight end too, especially in this AFC where you got 10 teams that can easily get to Super Bowl this year and a couple more on the outside looking in.
Well, I guess Aaron Rodgers can't be completely upset. At least it wasn't like, I don't know, a kicker or, someone on the defensive side of the ball. They are trying to
backup quarterback.
Backup quarterback. Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy, that would have been something. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if the Jets' first pick would have been a backup quarterback? That would have been hilarious. Hilarious. The Jets pick Hendon Hooker. That would have been fantastic. Jaguars on the clock, though. I guess they're back from commercial break. I don't have the live TV here, so I'm just following along with the ticker here, guys. So I appreciate
Jaguars are on the clock. The pick is in, and they've had a great draft so far and building a team, like I said. So I think this could be a defensive player here.
Yeah,
or another run on interior lineman, but KJ Henry, edge rushers out there, a couple linebackers.
I've got the pick in front of me here, buddy. And it's a name that I was somewhat familiar with, doing a little bit of research, especially a guy that maybe might translate to an edge, and that's Ventrell Miller, Florida linebacker. So here, 232 pounds, didn't participate in the combine, 6 foot, but a guy that was on my radar a little bit. Wasn't the best fit for the Broncos, so I did kind of pass from him from there. But Jacksonville goes defense, kind of like you were talking there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at their offense that behind Trevor Lawrence, and they had to go defense. I think you got Travis Etienne running behind with Lawrence teammates. By the way, I love that route.
Yep.
I loved it
Once
when
again.
uh, you got Calvin Ridley coming back this year with Christian Kirk
Huh,
and Evan Ingram, who had a monster year.
he
For
did.
That's three guys right there, along with ETN. I think they went the right way. Build the defense a little bit because you don't want to be in a lot of 38, 35 games. You want to, have some depth there at defense. If you lose a couple players, you want to have depth. So
Cardinals
pick.
ran. Cardinals ran to the podium. They turned in guard from UCLA, John Gaines the second. So we talked about it. Protecting Kyler Murray has got to be a priority. So once again, we kind of go into that slot, and here's a guy that was obviously blocking for a Charbonnet, one of the darlings as far as running backs are concerned. You talked about hey, what do you get out of college teams like this, and what are they doing, and what are the teams doing around them? Well, if you're going to have one of the best running backs on the board, in my opinion, in Zach Charbonnet, you got to have the offensive lineman up front. So probably a good pickup here. I didn't scout him a whole lot, but obviously the protection of Kyler Murray continues.
Yeah, I think they're feeling like Kyler Murray's their franchise. He got hurt last year. They gotta get him some protection because he's going to be out half the year. I think at least half the year. So when
Yep.
he comes back, they need to protect him because he's their franchise. I'm not a huge fan of Kyler Murray, but he is their franchise. So they're doing the right thing by drafting an offensive line and protect the quarterback. It's funny
Pax,
because you asked me this when I was in high school. I would not want any offensive lineman in the draft. It was wide receivers, defensive guys, but offensive linemen's pretty much beside quarterback the most important position on the field in drafts.
isn't it funny how that changes over time, bud?
Yep.
When you're young, you're looking at all those skill positions. You're just loving them. You want every running back, wide receiver, you know, crazy cornerback, safety, whatever it happens to be. And then that over time, you're like, we need the men in the trenches. The men in the trenches are what is going to make it happen for us. We concentrate a lot more on that. And speaking of that, kind of rounding out, when we traded for Russell Wilson, one of the picks that we sent was Shelby Harris up to Seattle, and Shelby Harris has since been, I guess, released or not brought back, and solidifying that, the Seattle Seahawks choose Cameron Young, defensive tackle out of Mississippi State, 6'3", 304-pound defensive tackle to anchor and probably take over where Shelby Harris is now absent. So,
It's funny. Everybody's saying Russell Wilson had a bad year. He did. He didn't have a great year. Common, if you think Russell Wilson had a good year, you need to go make baseball your favorite sport, and Russell
that's right.
Wilson can go play for the Yankees. Uh,
Right?
with that being said, Drew Lock didn't play because of Geno Wilson's success. Shelby Harris, you just said, not there.
Mm.
Noah Fant, he didn't do much. So you gave up three players that didn't contribute much this year. And of course, you gave up draft picks this year, but the Seahawks didn't get that. Oh my gosh, they got the franchise quarterback and we got Russell Wilson. No. So
Yeah.
don't
I
everybody
actually,
saying the Seahawks stole the draft. Let me see it this year. If Russell Wilson doesn't pan out this year, yes, then you know what? Seattle did know something was wrong with Russ and this and that. But let's see what Sean Payton can do with Russ this year, and get him back on track because I think the Broncos are doing a good job in the draft. So let's hope Russ can do it for you. And you got a nice little backup quarterback in Stidham. So
yeah, I appreciate that, but I think we have a hard time seeing a guy that's been on the hated Patriots and then the hated Raiders come all the way back and now be a Bronco. So that might be a reason we're not as excited for our backup QB. But he is a talent. I did see the full roundup of the picks because now all the picks have been completed in the trade. So the Russell Wilson trade, we get Russell Wilson, and of course we had a fourth round pick last year that we got, and we turned that into Ioma Uwazurike, who hasn't seen a whole lot of the field as of yet. The Seahawks got, of course, Drew Lock, Noah Fant, and Shelby Harris. They got a first-round pick last year, and then they picked up Charles Cross. They got a second-round pick last year. They picked up Boye Mafe. They got a fifth-round pick last year. They got Tyreek Smith. They got the fifth overall this year that turned into Devin Witherspoon, and they had the number 37th overall in this pick, in this draft, which ended up turning into Derek Hall, edge rusher. So
I personally think Devin Witherspoon was a bit of a reach at number 5. I don't think he's as good as Sauce Gardner. Last Derek Stingley, I thought he was a reach.
Good comp.
Sauce Gardner, there's not many like him. And but Witherspoon, I think, was a reach. And I do want to bring up another team, because this goes like, if you want a quarterback, trade Aaron Rodgers, for example, the Jets. I live in, I listen to the New York sports radio stations and follow the New York media.
Mm-hmm.
And the fans who didn't want to give up a first-round pick for Aaron Rodgers need their head examined. They flip-flop picks this year, 13 and 15. That pick turned into be a linebacker from Iowa State, McDonald, who wasn't even projected early in the first round. So that was your flip this year. And it's a conditional pick where, for some reason, if the Jets falter, that pick turns into a second-round pick and not a first-round pick.
Correct.
And if it turns out to be good, then you know what? They're going to pick, the Packers are going to pick in the at least 25 higher in the draft next year.
Right.
So who you getting at 25 that's going to be better than Aaron Rodgers? It's not happening.
Right.
So I think it was okay to trade, and I think it was a needed trade that the Jets needed to do. And for these Jet fans that didn't want to give up that pick, you'll be admitting you were wrong come playoffs, because your team will be in the playoffs this year. Don't know if you'll get to the Super Bowl, but your team will be in the playoffs this year. And that's something the Jets haven't done since 2010.
Wow. I agree with you, Kenya. I think it was a great value. I just want to jump real quick. We got some comments jumping in. Michael Ronquillo is a huge supporter of the show. He says, "Good morning, Keith. Good morning, Michael, and say hello to Kenny Kirkpatrick from the K&K show as well. Give him some
Michael.
love, but I appreciate the love that you're giving us, and appreciate every time that you grace our channel, come on to our pod, leave a few comments. Love you, buddy. Thank you so much." Matt Staffiero jumping in saying, "Let's go, gentlemen." Also saying, Broncos leadership has zero room for a Russell Wilson failure. We are in no excuse territory. Russell, 1-year trial. It's make or break season for the Russ camp. And he said he hated the Packers' first-round pick in Van Ness, though.
I agree,
Luke Van Ness. Go ahead. You agree?
No, I just going to say I agree with Matt. I thought when they flip-flop picks that they really were going to go wide receiver and jump ahead of the Patriots, who need a wide receiver, and the Jets, who I thought were going to try and make Aaron Rodgers happy. But we all saw how the wide receivers dropped a little bit. And then as soon as Njiba got picked on day one, there was 4 in a row that went. But I didn't like that Van Ness pick neither. I thought they needed to either pick up a receiver or a tight end for Jordan Love, because he's going to have a lot to prove as well, being the guy behind Aaron Rodgers.
100%. Get caught up on some picks here, buddy. And I'll be honest, none of these were necessarily names that I was looking at. So if you have any info on these, feel free. Edge rusher out of Mississippi, Tavius Robinson goes to the Baltimore Ravens. The Chargers pick up Darius Davis, wide receiver out of TCU. And the Cleveland Browns, Isaiah McGuire, defensive end out of Missouri. So that gets us caught up, and the Saints and the Rams will be the next 2 on the board.
Yeah, interesting. I don't see any of them here on my. I got about 50 guys listed here for the 4th round, and I don't have those. None of those names you mentioned are on there.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Just looking at our competition, TCU prospect Darius Davis that went to the Chargers is a 5'8", 165 pound guy. So didn't have a 40 time listed, meaning he probably didn't get to the combine or anything like that. But I imagine the guy's got to be fast if he's only 5'8" and 165 pounds. So maybe a returning capabilities. I'd have to take a look into that as well. Yeah, returned for 5 punts for TDs during his college career. So definitely has some return capabilities. That's what you're looking for. That special teams guy. This maybe answers that question. This is very much like last year when the Denver Broncos brought in Washington to be our return guy and drafted him about in the same spot.
Yep. Looks
Hey,
like the Saints are back on the clock.
You're getting some love. I knew it. Michael Ronquillo is always good for it. Good morning, Kenny. A little bit of Bronco
Michael,
love, hearts.
Good morning, Michael. So I know Michael's obviously a Bronco fan. Is he out there in Colorado area as well, or is he from another area?
Oh boy, now you're expecting me to know the demographics of my fans. Michael, if you want to throw it out there exactly where you're from, I believe he's in the Colorado area, but I could be completely wrong. If not, maybe those blue and orange is for your Knicks, buddy. Maybe he's out East Coast. I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure he's a Broncos fan.
Oh, he's saying Arizona.
Oh, there you go, buddy.
Nice. Well, what's your grade on the Broncos there, Michael?
Yeah,
we did our grades yesterday. What's your thoughts, Michael? Overall grade so far in the Broncos.
Love to get your feedback, Michael. Michael knows his guys, so pretty close to where I was kind of at. I don't know if I got my official grade out there, but yeah, I was thinking about a B plus. So a B is about right. Again,
we were all pretty close yesterday.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. I had him at A minus.
Yeah, I was gonna say somebody had an A minus, somebody had a B plus. We were all right in that same
My reason for A minus and higher than a B was the 2 trade ups, and if they feel really confident in these guys preseason, season hasn't started yet, but the off season now, if you move up 20 something spots for a guy, I got to think he's going to be a day one contributor, and that's the corner you got. And move up for a wide receiver, I like that. I see that as 2 day one contributors, and the linebacker, I like him. And Matt gave us some good information on him yesterday when he did the grades. And my co-host friend Kurt also liked the Arkansas pick, the linebacker. So A minus for me. We'll see what the rest of the draft leads off to, if there's anybody that we really like with our team's pick. But I got him at A minus, and I'm going to stick with that A minus grade.
Yeah, I went back and I got to take a little bit more look at the Arkansas running back. No, not yet. Not a running back yet, Broncos country. Maybe before we complete this draft, maybe after the draft is completed, we bring in an undrafted free agent running back. But no, the linebacker out of Arkansas. And yeah, he's an impressive athlete. He's quick to the ball. He's I guess, like I said, just an impressive athlete up and down. Really like what we put together there, man. So,
got a head scratcher of a pick here, Keith, for the Saints.
Wide receiver Marvin Mims Jr. was Michael Ronquillo's favorite pick from the Broncos. Yeah, I agree, man. I think he takes over for Washington and KJ Hamler all in one pick. And we go from there. Surprising pick, according to Kenny. What do we got, buddy?
The New Orleans Saints take Jake Haener, quarterback out of Fresno State.
There you go,
and I think that's a shocker, because we all know that Derek Carr is there.
Yep.
You got Jameis Winston, who's going to be probably the best backup quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Kellen Mond, who they drafted last year.
Ian Book,
right. Rather. Ian Book. Was it Ian Book or Kellen Mond?
It was Ian Book, because Kellen Mond went to the Vikings. So,
Jake Haener's going to be not competing for the backup spot with Jameis Winston. Derek Carr, they just gave the contract to. Why pick a third string quarterback in the 4th round?
I think it points to probably where they think they want to go with Jameis in the probably immediate future, and maybe even as soon as this offseason. I don't have the particulars on his contract. I know that you're saying he's one of the best, but at some point, I think they're also kind of turning the page. They've turned the page with Derek Carr. Jameis Winston was not happy in the fact that he wasn't named the starter again once he was healthy last year. I think there could be an exit ramp for famous Jameis out of New Orleans, if I had to guess, buddy.
Well, Matt just ruined my day. You see his comment, Keith?
No. Let's see what we got here. Breaking news: the Detroit Lions have traded running back DeAndre Swift to the Philadelphia Eagles. Holy mackerel, guys! We were wondering.
One team I didn't want him to go to.
We were wondering, obviously the Detroit Lions going out and getting a premier running back. Were they pairing him up with DeAndre Swift? No, that speculation is all gone now. DeAndre Swift is headed to Philadelphia, solidifying their backfield. Talk about what you're scared about there, Kenny.
When healthy, he's a threat like Austin Eckler type. You all know Austin Eckler from being in the AFC West, so I will compare him to Austin Eckler when healthy. That's the only thing that I will say. He's yet to have a full season. So
wow.
But when healthy, I compare him to Austin Eckler, and that's scary for us Giants fans going forward. Does Matt have the details of the trade? What did they have to give up for him?
No, but I want to blow your mind here real quick, buddy, before we get those draft details. A quarterback went again to the Los Angeles Rams. Stetson Bennett is now in the Los Angeles round here in the 4th round.
Wow, there you go.
Wow, buddy. I was talking what separates him. What separates him, you know what I mean, from being at the top. Some people predicted he would be an undrafted quarterback come the end of this draft. Some people had him going very, very late. The Rams say, no way, Stetson Bennett is something special. They get him in the 4th round, and they put him on the roster.
And
wow, buddy.
It's a great move for the Rams because we all know Stafford's health issues.
Correct.
Great spot for Stetson Bennett to be a backup quarterback.
Oh, goodness. In the McVay
and
system, sitting behind.
If Stafford doesn't play all 17 games, he gets his opportunity, Stetson Bennett.
Right. This is, amazing opportunity for Bennett. Maybe a possible big win for this franchise because, as you said, we don't know how long we'll see. I'm blanking his name again. Quarterback for the Rams. Matthew Stafford. Be around. Supposedly he's back and he's healthy and he's better than he's been in recent years. But boy, I don't know how long term we really have a guy like that hanging around. And this could be the heir apparent, and it could be sooner than later, as you said, Kenny. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked that it happened here. I figured we'd still be talking 5th, 6th round for Stetson Bennett.
I'm just shocked. I got 2 wows in 5 minutes. DeAndre Swift in the 4th round had 2 wows, and then Stetson Bennett right after that. Damn.
Yeah. Well, Jake Haener, Stetson Bennett even. You know what I mean? That Jake Haener pick, as you said, is not necessarily, a non-surprising type of pick. I mean, as you said, it looks like from the outside that the Saints have their quarterback room all lined out. Now this throws a whole different mix, and I don't know if anybody had Jake Haener going this soon either. For that matter, right? Crazy. But now we got the Cowboys pick is in, and the Jaguars once again. They just have picks galore, man. I'll have to look back and see what these guys end up having all said and done. But Cowboys pick is in, and Jaguars is next, buddy.
I'm going to say Cowboys might be looking at a running back here. Tony Pollard injured, and we all know they lost Zeke. So Cowboys, my NFC East, not happy right now. But let's hope the Cowboys botch this pick and get somebody they really don't need. But I'm going to say running back, and I hope it's not that your boy from Abakanaba from Pitt.
Yeah, obviously I don't want Abakanada for my reasons personally, but I mean, kind of surprising they already got their their tight end. They went out and got Schoonmaker out of Michigan. I was surprised he went that soon in the second round. They got the Texas Missile and Demarvian Overshawn, and then Mozzie Smith, the defensive tackle. Seems like a good place that, again, I could even see wide receiver. That's a place that they've been trying to add talent, and they struggled last year as well. So if they see the right guy here, I could even see him go in that direction.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It'd be interesting, but boy, I know that you were talking about being here for one round, Kenny. We're at pick 27 with the Cowboys. How you feeling? Should we wrap it up after this and maybe get you on a recap show?
Your Broncos are picking early in the 5th round, right?
I'll look that up again, buddy. Get those pick numbers again.
Yeah, let's get pick numbers.
So pick number. Oh no, we're 6th round, buddy. We're 183.
Oh, you're 6th round.
Yeah. So and we're at 130 right now.
130. Want to end it at in a half hour?
Yeah, we can.
You
do
good
that.
with a half hour?
We'll creep into the 5th round a little bit, bud.
Yeah, okay, we can do that.
So what we got here is Cowboys getting, and I might even get censored if I don't say this name right. Cowboys go defensive end, Viliami Feheko Jr., defensive end out of San Jose State. So, man,
don't know
digging
much
deep
about
on this
him,
one.
But it just ESPN is what I'm watching, and it said he was the defensive player of the year in the Mountain West.
Okay, well there you go. I mean, if you're elevating yourself to the very top of any conference, then there's reason. I just not familiar with the name, and I thought they were digging super deep. So
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them not taking a running back because they need a running back. Tony Pollard got hurt last year, and I love Tony Pollard. I wanted him to go to the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
And he was before the Alexander Madison jokes. I said Tony Pollard.
Yes.
And the Cowboys re-signed him, but he's banged up.
Yeah.
He's coming off an injury, and there's not much depth behind him. So I'm not sure what the Cowboys got in plan for running back, but kind of curious to see.
Kind of surprising that Zeke is still out there, in my opinion, too, buddy.
Yeah. I'm still thinking Zeke to the Dolphins.
They went out and got their running back, though, didn't they?
Who did they get?
Remember right in this draft? I'll have to look it up again, but I believe, if I remember right, they went out and got a running back. So
Buffalo could be a landing spot. There's a couple of, although a team that needs a running back with Mixon hurting.
Yeah. Oh, they just really quick. Miami got Devin Achane out of Texas A&M. So, yeah.
Watch out for sneaky Cincinnati.
On the clock, Jaguars pick is in, yeah. It's always fun to watch teams, honestly, even though we're Broncos fans, and I'm always rooting for my teams, but when teams get to add talent to an already talented team and see what they can put together, that's always super, super fun. So
yep.
I missed some comments. I want to get caught up. Stafford can't stay healthy for a career backup who knows how to win games. That's where we're talking about Stetson Bennett. And then Michael Ronquillo, quarterback Max Duggan is my choice for the Broncos in the NFL draft. And that's a guy that they've been tied to a lot. Max Duggan, obviously, TCU, right there, buddy. Right there in that playoff last year. Not really, quite honestly, who expected TCU at the very beginning of the year to be, that formidable at the end. So part of that's got to be the quarterback. Part of that is got to be the leadership that you have on offense, and those are traits that he'd bring and be a great backup for the Denver Broncos. We'll see if that comes to play. There's a lot of positions in need, but a quarterback could be in play. I do like that running back idea, though, too. I think that's a place that we could hit up as well. I'd love to get your ideas on where we should go in running back if there's a player available still. Michael, we were throwing around some names a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and then to add to Michael, Max Duggan, I do like that too, Keith. I mean, we just saw Stetson Bennett go off the board right in round 4, led his team to back-to-back titles. But Max Duggan led TCU, and nobody thought they would have been there. And he wasn't even the starting quarterback at the beginning of the year.
Wow.
And he came out of nowhere and took them to the national title. They got blown out in that national title, but they still got to the national title game, beat Michigan. And a lot of it had to do with Max Duggan's play. And quarterback's most important position, this kid's a leader. I would bring him in 6th, 7th round pick and pick him up, and or even undrafted. If he's undrafted, I bring him in and have him as a 3rd string and learn from the veterans on the team and see if he can become a potential backup or even a starter. You never know. Look at Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. look where
Isn't that
he
amazing? I still find that amazing because it seems like they're really rolling dice in that direction. Going with Brock Purdy, especially when there's rumors that Trey Lance, they're at least listening to offers or calls are coming in. Jaguars select defensive end Tyler Lacey out of Oklahoma State, and that is a name that got a little bit of traction at times. Obviously, coming in from a larger program like that, senior, 6'4", 277 pounds, so ran a 5.140, so trucking for a.
Oh yeah, you see him coming
downhill,
you get out of the way. Get out of the way if you're a quarterback. Oklahoma State always has great defense too, so got to respect a player coming off that Oklahoma State defense. So nice pickup, I think, there for the Jaguars, who I said a few minutes ago, build that defense. They got the offense now, so now they're gonna build that defense a little bit.
Yeah, it's scary what they're doing. Like I said, I'll have to get their tally on how many draft picks they end up having in total in this draft. It seems like, boy, about every 6 or 7 picks, the Jaguars are coming up. So they've been doing well in being able to add. And speaking of adding, I talked about kind of the rich getting richer. Cincinnati Bengals, their pick is in. They could go any direction, especially when you're such a fantastic program and you're going to the AFC Championship and in the playoffs each year. They end up going Charlie Jones, wide receiver out of Purdue. So ran a 4.43, 40-yard dash at the combine, 5'11", 175 pounds. Speedster, I guess you could say, and Charlie Jones going to the Cincinnati Bengals, and might be looking a little bit more special teams here. What are you thinking, buddy?
Yeah, special teams and maybe like little gadget plays, those jet sweeps, and some depth at slot if you need them at slot. So 5'11", 177. Yeah, and maybe they can turn him into a punt returner. I'm not have to see where that leads.
Yeah. But interesting to see them add a weapon like wide receiver to the Cincinnati Bengals. Like I said, could go a few different directions. It's amazing how quickly they turn that franchise around from, even Joe Burrow. How many times did he get sacked a few years ago? And their big dog was, hey, they don't have an offensive line in front of him. It seemed like they changed that like immediately to last year and didn't really lose a step in any other, in any other spot on the field. But I don't care if it was defense or special teams or offensively, just were able to run it right back up there. What are your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. I was just looking to see if the Steelers picked yet. The Steelers are on the clock, and they've had a decent draft, but yeah, I mean that AFC North, I could see, your worst team on paper might be Browns, right? And Deshaun Watson. This is a sneaky division with 4 good quarterbacks. You got the future and Burrow and Pickett. And you got the steady guys, the guys that have been around, Lamar and Deshaun. I think the Steelers are going to have to go more defense here and get some contributors on defense.
100%.
Inside linebacker is what they're saying is a need. You might see the Alabama kid Toto go here.
Oh, that would be good, man. That would be good. Yeah, we were talking last night. Steelers for 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 being that team for years that you just looked at and said, "My goodness, this is a formidable defense. I don't want to have to go up against these guys on Sunday." That has definitely fallen off in recent years, and they're in need of trying to rebuild that and put that back together if they want to be competitive. Because a lot of these games that Kenny Pickett was in, if he would have been able to not having to be putting up 20 plus almost 30 points in games in order to be in the match, maybe they would have put up a couple more wins in the win column last year. And their pick is in. They did end up going linebacker, Wisconsin, Nick Herbig. So there you go, buddy. Just like you were talking, that was a need at linebacker, and they filled it.
He was the number 6 guy on my top 50 here in this round. So nice little value there. Pick up the linebacker from Wisconsin. They seem to produce nice little defensive guys out there. We all know J.J. Watt, Wisconsin, but linebackers, nice little sneaky pick here. Inside linebacker, right? I believe.
Yes, inside linebacker, really good
gap
filler. 3-year starter. Actually, I'm sorry, he was an outside linebacker in a 3-4. I take that back. So
here's
outside linebacker in a 3-4.
Nice little stat too. 20 sacks in the last 2 years, led the Big Ten.
Wow,
that's a nice little pickup. You
talked about it, man. Big Ten, no joke. If you can be the sack leader, that says something right there and there. 6'2", 240 pounds, ran a 4.65 in the 40. Comes out of Kauai, Hawaii, which I wouldn't have expected. Nick Herbig from Wisconsin. Good pickup. They needed the defensive help, so.
And the Steelers putting through a nice little sneaky little draft here. They got the tight end from Georgia who slipped yesterday.
Yep.
They pick up this linebacker here, Nick Herbig. Yesterday they got Joey Porter in the top of the second round, another player who dropped. So it looks like they're going with whoever's the best available on their board when they're picking. And it just turns out to be, for the most part, players of need.
There was a lot of talk that they had a lot of calls, obviously, to go into that first pick in the second round. There was no way they were moving. They had their guy, Joey Porter Jr., for numerous reasons. Not only just a fantastic corner, but the relationship that they would have with him and his family. Great pickup, Dan. Great pickup. I love Joey Porter Jr. It's funny because his combine wasn't as impressive as what I think him and a lot of people expected. His play on the field, and this is where sometimes you got to put the underwear Olympics to the side, because his play on the field is what got him to the top of the second could have quite honestly got him into the bottom of the first round, in my opinion. So. What do we got, buddy? Chicago Bears. Wow, here you go. Here's a name that you were talking a little bit ago.
Yep.
Go out and get wide receiver Tyler Scott. Talk about it, buddy.
Well, they really are. I was saying about Justin Fields, how I don't have confidence in the Ohio State receivers, but they really are giving this kid every chance to succeed. We talked about their off-season acquisitions, the trades, but now they go and get this kid Tyler Scott, who last year he had Desmond Ridder throwing him the ball. And I'm going to pull up his stats, which I'm going to do after I talk about him. But size is small, but he ran a 4.39 at the combine. So he's a speedster and another added weapon for Justin Fields. And the Bears are not out of this NFC North division, even though they were 3-14 last year.
Mm-hmm.
They're making moves that they can be very sneaky in a division where nine wins may take the division.
Yeah, and look at this. I mean, fourth round they add Tyler Scott and they add Roschon Johnson, running back. Talk about a powerhouse fourth round for them. Really putting, quite possibly, two weapons in the fourth round from the fourth round on the field this next year. That doesn't happen often, and like you said, continue to put weapons around the quarterback, which is absolutely what they need to do at this point. I'm great job in the fourth round by the Chicago Bears, man. We were talking a little bit earlier about it when we were kids, and what did we want? We always wanted the wide receiver and the running back and all the skill position guys. Well, the Chicago Bears are running with that, but they're putting weapons around Justin Fields, which is what they need to do.
Trying to pull up his stats. Let's see if I can find them. I think this is a steal.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Vikings are on the clock. Some people were really surprised when they took Jordan Addison in that first round. Again, I think they were kind of a little bit surprised that the player in front went, which was a cornerback, and I forget the name real off the top of my head, but not necessarily a position of need, and now they're back on the clock. I'm going to pull it up real quick because, Jordan Addison, then they came back in around 3, that's right. They got cornerback, Mekhi Blackman, who I liked a lot. A great long cornerback who would have fit well on our Broncos as well, but kind of redeemed themselves a little bit. So now they come in and get Jay Ward, cornerback out of LSU, to kind of in the fourth round, go back over on the defensive side of the ball. And they could use the help. I don't know Jay Ward as well. Do you have any information on Jay Ward out of TCU or LSU? I'm sorry.
I don't have any info on him, but I can go back. I got some things about Tyler Scott. 2022, he started all 11 games for Cincinnati, putting up eye-popping numbers and earning all AAC second-team accolades. He achieved new career highs in receptions, 54, receiving yards, 899, and touchdowns, 9, which ranked him 19 in the nation for receiving touchdowns. Had over 100 receiving yards 4 different times versus Miami, Indiana, Navy, and Eastern Carolina. Holding 10 receptions twice versus Indiana and Navy. Career high 10 receptions for 185 and 3 touchdowns versus Indiana. Grabbed 10 for 139 and 2 touchdowns versus Navy, and snatched a long 76-yard touchdown against ECU. He was clocked at 49 in a 40-yard dash, declared for the NFL draft following his true junior season.
Wow, yeah. Obviously, they added a weapon for Justin Fields. Quite an impressive list of stats. Kenny, you might want to fix your cord a little bit. In the meantime, the Patriots have traded their last pick here in the fourth round to the Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders are now on the clock. Raiders moving up again. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Again, I talked about it from the very, very top of the draft. For Broncos fans, especially as we were waiting through round 1, round 2, waiting to see what the Broncos were going to do, you got to keep an eye on what your competition are doing. Make sure, hey, what are we going up against? How are we going to line up? What do we got to be worried about? The Raiders started off with Jacorian Bennett, cornerback, Maryland, and the second overall pick in this round. And now they've traded back in for the 33rd pick in the fourth round, number 135 overall. It's no longer on the clock. The pick is in, so we should know shortly, buddy. So Raiders getting a little bit active.
I wonder if the Raiders move up. They got Garoppolo, but who do they have behind them? I wonder if this could be a move for backup quarterback.
That would be interesting, man. That would be interesting. I don't want them to be adding any more talent. I'll be honest. He says, the damn Raiders blew up my plan. Oh, man.
Aiden O'Connell or Sean Tucker?
I don't know what his plan was. He didn't line up his plan, but Matt Staffiero joined in the comments. Thanks, Matt, for sticking with us here, watching the Denver Bronco Roundup Day 3 draft coverage here with Kenny Kirkpatrick from the K&K Show. Matt's so we're usually sitting out on Twitter getting in all the latest. Sometimes you got to watch if it's not during the draft because he'll come up with some information that is so late breaking and new that it's not even real. But I think he's got something here. We'll find out here really shortly as the Raiders have traded up into the 4th round and blew up Matt Staffiero's plans. Be interesting
Matt
to see
said
exactly what.
Aiden O'Connell and Sean Tucker make it happen, Peyton. So I'm thinking one of those two got picked.
Yep. Right before his plans were blew up. That's exactly Matt Staffiero, quarterback, Aiden O'Connell,
And I just said
running
it
back Sean
sounds like
Tucker.
they might have moved up for a quarterback because Jimmy Garoppolo's injury history.
Well,
It makes sense.
you nailed it. You nailed it across the board. Here it is. Aiden O'Connell, quarterback, Purdue, going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Blew up Matt Staffiero's plan. I'm sorry, Matt. You'll have to come on to Plan B and let me know exactly what that looks like now. That a guy that was tied to the Broncos along with Max Dugan, as Michael Ronquillo brought up earlier, goes unfortunately to our rival Las Vegas Raiders. Quarterback Aiden O'Connell out of Purdue. I believe the Broncos actually brought him in for a visit, if I remember correctly, as well. So a lot of ties there. Raiders out there just blowing up our plans and maybe doing it on purpose.
Yeah. 4th round, Broncos are picking to the 6th. I don't think there was any that if the Raiders moved up for him, there had to be other teams in their mind that were interested in Aiden O'Connell as well.
Yeah. Take a look at the top of the 5th round here in just a second, guys, as we'll be flipping it. But Matt Staffiero brings up a good point because, like I said, I've been watching our rivals go through this draft, and hasn't been too many picks that I sit there and I'm laughing at our rivals. Unfortunately, they have been a good draft picks throughout the AFC West, and even though there has been some surprises up and down, this draft has gone pretty much as expected, I think. Nothing crazy, nothing off the charts. Don't get me wrong, like I said, trades galore, especially in the 1st and the 2nd round, but not for guys that we didn't expect to be going in those positions, I think, for the most part.
I agree, Keith. I think, like I said, the only thing that's really surprised me is all of the Georgia Bulldogs dropping, minus Stetson Bennett. He went higher than everybody else, but Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, the tight end, Washington. Mingo just got picked in the 4th round, and he was a projected 2nd round by some people. 4 guys on an elite defense, that people are talking about for being the best, and they're all dropping. It's just mind that's one mind-boggling thing for me. And it's funny that the Eagles took 3 of them. So we'll see how good that pans out. And last year, Nakobe Dean also dropped 3rd round. So the Georgia Bulldogs are dropping, and there's a reason. And I hope it's a good reason as a Giant fan that they don't become good pros. But there's a reason that a lot of teams are passing up on these guys. And curious to see why.
I think you can sometimes look at when you have an accumulation of talent that is so great. It sometimes rises the tide of all players, right? Everyone looks a little bit better when you're playing next to all pros. But how does this guy look when you separate him out from that? How does he look when he goes on to the top or the bottom 3 or bottom 5 teams in the league, and he's not surrounded with high quality talent at that level? And maybe that's something that teams are digging into and maybe seeing a little bit, is just not seeing the value in these guys because of where they sit as a whole, and then parsing that out individually. That's the only thing I could really think of.
That's a great point, and makes all the sense in the world. That didn't look at it that way, but now I could see that as definitely a reason. You get the smaller schools, and these guys are getting double teamed, and on offense and on defense they're getting double teamed. Rip push rushing the passer, rushing the quarterback, and they
Mm-hmm.
still get to him. So those smaller schools that have that elite player are the ones that turn out to be sneaky good players in the pros.
Yeah, yeah. We were talking a little bit
I mean,
earlier about a guy that's
Michael Strahan went to Georgia Southern, in the
there.
second round pick, best edge rusher we've had minus Lawrence Taylor.
Great point. Great point. I might put up the the eight finger wonder as well up there. Is it the eight finger that he? I can't remember. What fingers he lost and how many? What's
Uh, the JPP.
Yeah, JPP. I love JPP. Yeah, he's also a favorite of mine. Yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes, yeah, like I said, maybe it's the tide that rises all. And dig him individually. We were just what I was going to say is we were just talking about a guy just a little bit ago that we didn't really know a whole lot about. You dig into him and kind of find out he's Big Ten sack leader last year. So again, maybe not from Alabama, maybe not from Georgia, maybe not from those big name programs, but at the same time can come in there and contribute. Got Michael Ronquillo jumping in here and says, thanks for your insight, Keith and Kenny, on the NFL draft. Go Broncos. That might be meaning that Kenny has to jump out of here, I'm thinking. So, Michael, thank you so much for being a part of this show, man, and jumping in here and being part of the comment section. Great supporter, as always, of the Denver Bronco Roundup. We appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you so much. Join us anytime, and appreciate your comments. Hopefully this isn't the end, but if it is, wanted to make sure I said my proper goodbyes before you head out the door. Enjoy your Saturday afternoon, buddy.
Thanks, Michael. It was nice meeting you and talking to you about the draft and Broncos. And I'm not a Bronco fan, but I do root for you. My co-host and best friend, he is a Bronco fan, so I support the Broncos and all you guys out there that are Bronco fans.
Oh, no, he's just being a great guy, man. He says, no, I'm not leaving. Well, thanks, Michael. Stick around then. Sorry, man. Just the way that you're putting it out there, man, I thought that it might have been an out-the-door comment. But, yeah, stick around. Be part of the conversation. Be part of this conversation. Matt's jumping in and says, the quarterback I'm surprised that has slid this far is Tanner McKee out of Stanford. He had first-round grade early, fell to third post-combine. Tanner McKee, what are you thinking? As Stanford used to be QBU, Tanner McKee was valued pretty high out of a program that maybe didn't perform at the top level last year.
A little surprised by that too, Matt. Stanford, they got the IQ, right? The guy's got to be not just. I don't think he's just book smart. I think he's football IQ has got to be off the chain there. But maybe I don't know. Was there any injuries to him or something happened that teams aren't liking? But I think he'll be the next quarterback off the board real soon. Within the next, not the next. I'm gonna go next 5 picks. He's gonna get picked off the board. So let's see if that prediction happens.
I muted my mic.
The Colts continue to get stealed, in my opinion.
The what?
Darius Rush. The Colts continue to get some steals and contributors, I think. Darius Rush out of South Carolina, SEC corner. Again, he was lined up on the opposite side of Witherspoon. So,
Darius Rush is a name
gets
that...
all. I was just going to say, Witherspoon gets all the recognition, just like we talked about with Bijan Robinson. And here's your 1 and 1A. Darius Rush slips down drafts, but he's the other guy because Witherspoon is on all the top guys. But Darius Rush is like a little steal, I think, for the Colts here. We'll see.
Yeah, performed really, really good. Performed really good at the combine. A lot of people had him going up the ranks, and even had him projected possibly in the originally in the 4th round, maybe to the Denver Broncos as well. So, guy I'm pretty familiar with, and a great pickup, Darius Rush. My tracker all of a sudden froze because I'm still saying I'm waiting for the pick, and I've been reloading it here. So you're gonna have to keep me up to speed. Can you tell me where? Do you know where Jacksonville and Buffalo went? Is that possible, buddy?
I didn't see them, but I can find them for you. The Cardinals are on the clock, so let's see what I got.
Yeah, I got Cardinals, Browns, Colts, and like I said, my tracker. I'll look up, see if I can get another NFL tracker rolling here because the one I was using all of a sudden locked up on me, buddy. So we'll get everyone up to speed. Appreciate it. I was like, boy, they're really taking their time in between these two rounds. That's pretty
Yeah,
wild.
see what we got here.
Oh, here we go. I got.
Oh, here we go. I got
got
some
you.
for you.
Yeah, they got a couple of good names
where
too.
Are you at?
Yeah. I'm up to speed again. So
you're up to speed. Okay, because I got Yasir Abdullah, KJ Henry, the defensive end that I was talking about, went to the Commanders, and Darius Rush. So two good picks, I think, 137 and 138, that I think can be nice contributors for their teams.
Yeah, I agree. Yasir Abdullah, linebacker, Louisville, a guy that Louisville, like you were talking, in my opinion, one of those teams that always are going to be putting out a fantastic defense, really have good linebackers, is a guy that was rated right here in the 5th, if not the 4th, but follow it up with KJ Henry, and that's a guy I really liked out of Clemson. Man, he's going to be a fantastic edge rusher, and the Commanders, in my opinion, picked up a fantastic pick there at edge, followed by Darius Rush, and then the Cardinals come back, and the QBs might be getting a little bit of run because Clayton Tune, quarterback out of Houston, goes to the Cardinals, buddy.
I was wrong on my prediction for McKee. Well, I did say next 5 picks, so he's still got, I think, 1 or 2 more picks. So we'll see. But Clayton Tune could be a sneaky little air attack out there. They put up a lot of points over there in Houston. But I want to get back to the Commanders pick real quick.
Okay.
KJ Henry, they just declined the 5th-year option on Chase Young.
Oh, that's right.
And he's available. And that's somebody I could see your Broncos, Keith, and Michael and Matt's Broncos going after, or my Giants. So I don't know if we go after him, but I would love to stick it to the NFC East and get Chase Young, which is in the equivalent of like a Zion Williamson who's always hurt in basketball. Chase Young hasn't had a full season, but the comparisons when he came out, he's the next Lawrence Taylor. And you can put him on the Giants, the next Lawrence Taylor. But now, all joking aside, I could see Broncos, going after him as a need.
Yeah. There's been the chase to, let's get the chase to Denver, going, online a little bit. It is interesting. I just have a hard time. Who did we get last year? We got Randy Gregory as our edge rusher, who couldn't stay healthy and can't stay on the field and has trouble completing a season. I don't know how excited, as much as I love Chase, I don't know if I'm excited about the idea of bringing in a possibly injured guy, into the fold once again at edge rusher. It seems like we have a multitude of guys that we can't. I mean, Baron Browning went down last year. He was supposed to be the guy that converted and was an edge rusher for us. We need to have some solidity at that position. As much as I love the idea and the freak talent that Chase could be.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes, because if he's healthy, he can be a major contributor to the team that he goes to. We got the Browns pick coming in.
Michael Ronquillo,
picked a lot in this day 3.
Michael Ronquillo was jumping in, trying to keep us up to speed as I was scrambling on my tracker. So thank you, Michael. Yeah, Clayton Tune to the Arizona Cardinals. I think that's just interesting because once again, we've been hearing about, hey, we should help Kyler. We've been talking about all the pieces and parts they've been putting around Kyler. I know that this isn't like first round. We went out and got a quarterback. We're not pulling a Jordan Love on Aaron Rodgers type of situation, but to pick up a quarterback here is a little bit interesting for the Arizona Cardinals, in my opinion. Again, they could have went a lot of different directions, but yeah. Oh boy.
Quarterbacks are going. Look at this one.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about it, buddy.
Browns
You
take
got the
Dorian Thompson-Robinson out of UCLA. We all know how mobile and versatile he can be, and looks like he will be the solid backup to Deshaun Watson going forward in the future. So if Deshaun
wow.
Watson is to get hurt, I think they got the same style quarterback in Dorian Thompson Robinson there with UCLA, who I actually really liked, and just didn't know if he was going to be that type of quarterback that turns into like a wide receiver or a tight end because of his
Hmm.
style of play. But we're going to see what he does with the Browns. But I think that he will be their future backup quarterback. So that's a nice little pickup for the Browns.
A guy I saw a lot of people maybe projecting him later, has a lot of upside. You said you watched him a little bit. How does he compare to like an Anthony Richardson that was taken at the top, who only has 13 games and is supposed to be, a more athletic type of quarterback? How would you compare these two?
I think I compared him like A and B. I mean, just one as the older brother and one as the younger brother. I've watched him. He played against USC and put up great numbers against all these teams in the Pac-12. And some of the plays he made, I think it was against Arizona. Some of the plays that he made, I was watching. It was like this guy's like a Lamar Jackson.
Wow.
And when I saw like he projected in the fifth round, I was like, man, I got him like a third round quarterback. So fourth, fifth round, I had him as third round. So I think the Browns got themselves their future backup quarterback, and you all know how that turns out. Deshaun's got all the money. If Deshaun doesn't play and Thompson starts doing well, then free agency comes along down the road. You might be looking at a star quarterback in the future here. That's how bold I'm going to go on this kid.
I was gonna say, Kenny, if you're going ahead and you're saying here's a guy in the fifth round that you had a third round ranking on. Third round doesn't necessarily say this is just going to be a backup quarterback for the rest of his career. A third round quarterback says we think there's a possibility this guy has the ability to be a first round guy for us if something should happen within our franchise. You don't take a third round quarterback for no reason. And if you have a third round talent on him, it could mean, like you said, Deshaun Watson struggled last year. Jacoby Brissett looked much better than Deshaun Watson through the majority of the Cleveland Browns season last year. So Minnesota Vikings pick is in, and the Cleveland Browns are right back into the mix after that, as they had pick 140 and 142 as well.
This is where you may see Matt's quarterback taken here, Tanner McKee.
For the
Vikings
Vikings,
definitely need something after Kirk Cousins, and they haven't addressed it. Another way the Vikings may go. We talked about Jameis Winston. I mean, the Saints are going to probably look to get rid of him now that they got
oh boy.
four quarterbacks on their roster. So curious to see if the Vikings like anybody here. But Tanner
Hmm.
McKee would be my pick here for the Vikings.
Just looking at the tracker that I have, they have two safeties possibly mocked to the Vikings here. So obviously, still thinking they need some help in that secondary. Don't know
They do. They do.
they so they have a couple of guys lined up as far as JL Skinner, Antonio Johnson, which is a guy that I really like because, quite honestly, we need some help there. So Texas A&M's Antonio Johnson, I think, would be a great pick between those two guys. JL Skinner, one of those smaller schools coming out of Boise. I'll be honest, I unless they are that freak talent, I'm usually not too tuned into them. I do like, especially trench guys. We were talking about those guys earlier. If you can get me an Alabama trench guy, I'm going to go that direction. If you're going to get me an Auburn trench guy, I'm probably going to go that direction. I like going to
Absolutely.
the SEC and the big schools, so it'd be interesting to see where the Minnesota Vikings go here. Like I
And the
said,
pick
I
is
would
in.
probably go with it is in. I would go
Let's
with
see.
Texas A&M Antonio Johnson if they're looking safety. So, and I was wrong, but they do go defense. Jacqueline Roy, defensive line out of LSU. So,
Okay. Here's some numbers on Dorian Thompson Smith in 2022. Senior, uh, just under 70% completion ratio, 3,100 yards, 27 touchdowns. He did have 10 interceptions.
Kenny, you're breaking up just a little bit too much for it to be real audible there. Sorry, buddy.
That's okay. How's this?
I think we're pretty good. All right. I'm the wire guy too, so I understand, man. Go ahead.
I was just
pick it up again.
That's just under 70% completion ratio, almost 3,200 yards, 27 touchdowns. He did have 10 interceptions. I don't have his rushing stats, but definitely that's his game, rushing. So here's his rushing stats. 645 yards rushing, 12 touchdowns rushing.
Wow. And you're still breaking up a little bit. 645 rushing, 645 rushing yards with 12 touchdowns. Guy that gets it done on the ground as well as through the air. Like you said, dual threat quarterback that I thought too. And when I saw Anthony Robinson and I started looking at Thompson Robinson. Yeah, I thought they were very comparable, but again, that was not a position I was looking at all that much. Quarterback is something that we need, but I thought we had bigger needs on the Broncos. So appreciate the breakdown, buddy. You were saying on top of his 645 and 12 touchdowns on the ground, what was his air? What was his throwing stats?
Almost 3,200. 3,200, wow. And he had 27 touchdowns. He did have 10 interceptions. So that would be the one fault with him, would be his number of his interceptions.
Want to hear something funny? I was actually watching a replay of the breakdown of pre-draft coverage, and they were talking about John Elway. And they're like, here's a guy, does he have it? Most people say yes, but keep in mind he's only completing 65% of his passes, and he had 24 touchdowns to 12 interceptions last year. Not something you'd like to see.
No, not at
all. but at the same time, let's see how that turned out. Not that I'm saying this gentleman is anywhere close to being the next John Elway, but yeah, stats can throw you off. Ooh, boy. Yep. Cameron Mitchell, it goes to the cornerback out of Northwestern, ends up going to Cleveland. So, go offense with a quarterback, turn around, go defense with a cornerback or a defensive back, if that helps by pronunciation a little bit. Northwestern's Cameron Mitchell goes to Cleveland here. So,
just look at who's coming up in the order. The Giants do have a compensatory pick. Number 37 in this round.
There you go, buddy. There you go. We just have the Jets that ran up and they got their pick in. New England Patriots are next, and those crazy Carolina Panthers.
This kid, the tight ends are still on the board. I wonder if the Jets went up for one. I'm telling you, that's what they need is a tight end. Musgrave's still on the board. Third round projection.
Yeah.
Oregon State tight end. Kid from Miami's good, Will Mallory. I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, so I do know a little bit about Will Mallory. They always produce good tight ends out there in Miami, pro-ready tight ends. Greg Olson, Jeremy Shockey going back a few years, Giants. David Njoku, he's university in Miami, just to name a couple.
100%, man.
So they do produce tight ends.
Saw, just going through the best overall on one of the sites, there are quite a bit of names. We just talked about Antonio Johnson, safety out of Texas A&M. He lines the top of the board that I'm looking at. A.T. Perry, Wake Forest wide receiver out there. I wanted to get your opinion on Andrew Voorhees out of USC. Big injury, went down during the combine, has had a little bit of an injury history, but at the same time, when you start talking about, big, guards, 6'6", 310 pounds, really versatile guy, what's your thoughts, or have you looked at USC's Andrew Voorhees?
I knew about him. I agree with Matt. I think they reached a little bit too high for him. You jump up to 13. I thought there were better options on the board. You're taking a chance with somebody who got, like you just said, a terrible injury. You're
Yeah.
taking a shot at 13 on somebody who probably would have dropped maybe to even the second round where you might have even been picking. I don't know if he would have dropped that much, but there were other guys on that board that I liked a little better.
Gotcha.
Patriots are on the clock again. Maybe they'll take a punter with this pick.
And buddy, I think we're thinking of two different people. Luke Van Ness was taken number 13. I was talking about Andrew Voorhees out of he's a guard out of USC. So
yeah. The Luke Van Ness pick I didn't like.
I know you didn't like that. I remember us talking about that. And Michael Ronquillo just reminding us that Luke Musgrave actually went to the Packers. So,
he did go to the Packers. Okay. That must be a mistake on my board that I got here. Didn't realize that.
Oops. Sorry. Here, let me take a look and make sure there were. Yeah, Luke Van Ness is definitely gone. So, yeah, we were looking at these earlier. I think Josh Wiley was one of your favorites as far as tight ends. Zach Kuntz is still out there as far as tight ends. Payne Durham, a guy I mentioned a little bit earlier, and then of course Will Mallory. That was a guy that you've really liked. That would maybe be a good fit as well. So, but yeah, thanks for keeping us up to speed and on track, Michael Ronquillo. So,
absolutely.
Oh man. Jets went ahead and added another offensive weapon, and this guy that I wanted, buddy, Israel Abanikanda, goes to the New York Jets.
Ooh.
So,
yeah, 6th round. Dang. I don't think you were going to get him there, Keith.
I knew I wasn't, but
could
be always hopeful.
I know you start getting some hopeful, like, man, could this guy really drop to the 6th round? But they added a good weapon there, Keith. I thought I was your boy. Why don't you tell everybody about him?
Yeah, like I said, here's a guy that he's small and he's fast, but he doesn't avoid contact. He can go through the middle if he needs to, but he has great sight, great vision, has great cutting ability, may not have the overall top speed, and that's what I guess I loved when I really saw him. When guys caught up to him, that didn't mean that he went down. There was numerous times that he shrugged off guys and got into the end zone, where I think a lot of running backs would just go down. Great receiver out of the backfield. Boy, the Jets have really added a weapon here. Love what they got here in Israel Abanikanda, and fantastic pick, man. Fantastic pick. Wish he would have been a Denver Bronco, but I just got to hit this really quick. There's another kind of freak talent that the Patriots picked up. Antonio Mafi, interior offensive lineman for UCLA, goes to the New England Patriots, and I think that's a fantastic pick. Those are 2 back-to-back picks that I like a lot, bud.
Yeah, I mean, we just talked about Dorian Thompson, the quarterback, but Charbonnet, the running back, averaged 7 yards a carry. And you're not averaging 7 yards a carry unless you got people blocking in front of you. So, great pickup by the Patriots, like you said. Eventually down the line could be a starter. I would say he'd be depth on their offensive line this year, and be the sixth man or next man up if somebody was to get hurt.
Yeah, could be a great rotational piece. As he's listed, interior offensive lineman. He can play multiple positions, obviously guard, center type of guy. So you love that versatility, especially when it comes in the later rounds. And he's not I think he has a bright future. I liked him. I liked him a ton. So I was kind of surprised as his name popped up on the board that he was still available. So great pickup, in my opinion, for the New England Patriots. So Michael Ronquillo coming in and saying running back Deuce Vaughn from Kansas State University is one name to watch out for if the Bronco, if he falls to us.
Yes,
falls to the Broncos.
And I'll add to that. I agree, Michael, and he's also could be a really good special teams kick returner for the Broncos if they were to pick him later on. He was a good kickoff returner there for Kansas State.
That would add a little bit. We did go out and get a kick returner in the offseason. I mean, don't get me wrong, obviously always playing a different position, but yeah, to have depth at that position, we struggled last year. Why put all your eggs in one basket if we can pick up a guy like Deuce Vaughn that can not only help us in the running game, where obviously we need help, but also can add in the possibility of competition in the kick return game? That's fantastic, man. I like that. So
Panthers
good call
pick is
out.
coming in.
Panthers pick is in. It's a guy that I talked about a little bit earlier, guys. Safety Jamie Robinson out of Florida State University. So, like I said, great athlete, can play safety, can play nickel corner. Really has an eye for the ball. One of those, I would almost put him honestly in that kind of that. If I had to do a comp, not that anybody will ever compare with someone as good as this. I think this is one of the best ever to play the position, but I like an Ed Reed type of comp. Really is able to read the backfield and get to the ball and be a disruptor. So
Just watching some highlights on Antonio Mafi, who was picked up a couple picks ago to UCLA guard, and I was just, like I said, run blocking, opening it up for Dorian Smith-Thompson and Charbonnet. They're showing highlights. Patriots got a potential steal here.
I agreed, man. Like I said, I was surprised when that name popped up. It was a name that I kind of had on my board as well. So tell me if they show any Jamie Robinson highlights and how much you're liking those. That was another guy, like I said, I liked a lot. But next up, New Orleans Saints and then the Tennessee Titans.
I feel like the Saints have had 10 picks these last 2 rounds.
They're another one, aren't they, buddy? We've been talking about Panthers and Jaguars and Saints, and now it seems like also getting in the mix. So, yeah, a lot of trades, obviously, that instituted some of these picks coming about. But yeah.
Here comes your Jamie
like
Robinson highlights. So let's see what we got.
All right. Tell me what you think, buddy.
2-time first team All ACC. And he was the first to be named first team All ACC since Jalen Ramsey, first D-back for Florida State.
There you go.
Since Jalen Ramsey. So let's see if they show
Good
some
company
highlights.
there.
Absolutely.
Jalen Ramsey, yeah. No, I think everyone was scrambling at one point to see if Jalen Ramsey was going to join our team. So at least those in need. So.
All right. Yep. I'm going to look at some highlights now.
All right, buddy.
5'10", 191. So he's got some decent size.
As we see the Saints on the board, it looks like needs and positions. They're also in need of a corner. They could probably use.
I'll tell you what I like about him.
Receiver as well.
He hits. He's physical. I didn't realize he was a transfer from South Carolina. They were showing him against Georgia, and now they're showing him with Florida State. And very physical. Hits.
Yeah. Downhill guy. Guy.
Panthers are going to be a team to look out for in the future. They're doing things right down there.
Absolutely.
Rebuild.
So what? The Giants' first pick is 172. We're at 146. You want to make it to the Giants pick here, buddy? See what we get?
I can go till 3 if the pick is up before that.
And that's like in 45 minutes. All right, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, it's I'm trying to do some math.
I gotta around 3-ish. I'm gonna have to start getting ready for dinner plans and stuff. So.
Yeah, I got. I put myself in on the later shift, so I got to get to work as well after we get done here. Saints pick is in. Tennessee Titans go on the board. We certainly don't have to wait till then. We could just go, maybe even whenever you want to wrap it up. You just tell me, buddy.
Okay. I mean, they're going pretty fast, so we could see. I'm enjoying this. There's nothing else going on right now, so.
Right on, bud. And, hey, appreciate everyone that's joined the feed, guys. Appreciate you being part of the Denver Bronco Roundup. Again, this is your show. Hit up the comment board. Love to have your questions. Love to have your thoughts. Love to have your ideas. Get them coming in. Looks like we got some viewers out there that are tuned in, and we appreciate you. This is day 3, brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. I'm Keith. This is Kenny. Kenny's from the K&K show, so check them out. They cover all sports, guys. You know, we're Broncos fans, we're football fans. The Rocky Mountain Sports Network, we cover the major four in Colorado. You go out to the K&K Sports Show, you'll get everything. You'll get the Denver Bronco guy, you'll get all the East Coast teams, you'll get basketball, you'll get football, you'll get baseball. These guys know baseball a ton. As Kenny mentioned earlier, once football season kicks off, they get the Wits and Wagers show going. You get Joey Clams in there giving you some of the best advice on the planet, man. And Joey Clams will have you cracking up and loving life. All these guys over at the K&K show. So appreciate you guys tuning in and being part of this. We love you guys, and thank you very much. So
Thanks, Keith. And just to add real quick, uh, like you just said, we're baseball, but we're basketball and hockey. And we got a hockey guy that comes on with us now. And you guys
that's
out
right.
there in Colorado, you got the Avalanche and the Nuggets. So come on over and give us a listen on Wednesday night, and we'll, be talking some Nuggets and Avalanche for you guys as well. I'm not a big hockey guy until it comes to the playoffs, but we got, in my opinion, best guy around to talk hockey, and he'll answer any questions you guys got. His name is Rudy, and he
Yep.
is awesome.
Good old rockin' Rudy, man. He's got ice running through his veins, man, because that's how much he knows his hockey. I 100% agree. Guy is fantastic. Great on the mic, great on the show, great addition to your guys' lineup over there, and certainly knows his hockey. So as the Avalanche are heading back to Colorado for Game 7, hoping to continue in the playoffs, maybe jump over to the K&K show and check out what they got going on. You got, like I said, great hockey guy over there as well, but all the programs are great. Appreciate you taking time out from what you usually have going on over there, Kenny, to come over here and join me on the Denver Bronco Roundup today, buddy.
Like I said, I'm glad I could be part of this. I'm enjoying the draft today, and it's day 3, and then we got to wait a whole another year for it. So
I know, right? It
get to
doesn't come
talk
around
about it.
often enough.
It's nice talking about it with you.
Jordan Howden, just a safety out of Minnesota, goes to the Saints just to get everyone caught up. Tennessee Titans were next, and their pick is in. And the Chicago Bears, who have been really interesting in the pieces and parts they've been putting together, are on the clock. And now that I might as well just go ahead and I'm going to jump in real quick because Josh Wiley, tight end from Cincinnati, is who went to the Tennessee Titans. So, guys, they're building. They're putting together a team. They're trying to, heck, they went out and got the heir apparent for a quarterback. Now they go out and they're trying to put the tight end around him. And Cincy, in my opinion, does put some great tight ends on the field. I haven't looked at Josh Wiley a whole ton, but I believe you did, Kenny. So if you have a little bit of info on him, feel free, man.
Not as much info as the wide receiver, but I'm looking at these Cincinnati offensive skill players.
Mm-hmm.
They had their best quarterback in their history, arguably, in Desmond Ridder, and they lost him last year. So they had a downfall last year. So the play of the quarterback dropped significantly, and that affects everybody. It's the ripple effect. So I do like Josh Wiley as a tight end here in this round, and I also like the wide receiver that the Bears took. So this Josh Wiley pick is a need that the Titans, so he can probably be a contributor for the Titans this year, whether it's a backup tight end or maybe even falling into that starting role. So hats off to them for possibly finding a tight end here in the 5th round.
Very good. I got the pick is in on Chicago, but you must be a little bit ahead. They pick a wide receiver there, Kenny.
Oh no, I was talking about the kid they took earlier, Scott.
Oh, gotcha.
Speedster.
Very good. That's right. I was like, wow, I'm behind again. My tracker. No, but Chicago Bears. The pick is in. Green Bay Packers are on the clock next, and I got to ask a favor, Kenny.
Yeah.
This coffee mug is needing to exit the other side. Can you hold with me as I take a restroom break real quick?
Yeah, you got it.
I appreciate it,
So
man.
I'll keep up with the draft picks and the comments. I got it.
I got you. Appreciate it, Manny. I appreciate it a ton.
You're good. So we got the Bears pick in, fellas and ladies and gentlemen. Keith will be right back. Bears have done an amazing job in day 3. They picked up backup Probably going to be a backup running back in Roshan Johnson out of Texas. And they picked up a speedster in Tyler Scott and ran a 4.29 in a 40-yard dash. And they're adding weapons for Justin Fields. And now this pick is one that the Detroit Lion fans be intrigued by, and that's Noah Sewell, and that's the brother of Penei Sewell, offensive lineman for the Lions. But they get Penei Sewell, the brother, here in the 5th round, and Bears, in my opinion, winners of the day 3 by far. A plus. Bears get an A plus in day 3. On the clock are the Packers, and their pick is in. I would think they want to go offense to get some offensive help for Jordan Love, whether it's a weapon or offensive line. And we'll see who they take. They might also go defense because they really need some defensive players. And now that Sewell went, you still got Alabama's linebacker Henry Toto is still on the board. Looking at some other players that go here a little further down the line. Noah Sewell just went, like I said. A.T. Perry, wide receiver out of Wake Forest, is a little sneaky here. So we'll see who the Packers take as we wait for Keith. For those out there watching that may just tuned in, you are on the Denver Bronco Roundup. I'm on the East Coast. I'm just joining Keith today for some draft talk, so that this is a Giants hat, but this is a Broncos show, and we will get back to Broncos talk in a minute. So I just appreciate you all listening and hanging in while Keith will be back in a couple minutes. Sean Clifford goes out of Penn State. And interesting about Sean Clifford, he's the quarterback out of Penn State. And he's the reason Will Levis transferred to Kentucky. Will Levis and Sean Clifford were quarterbacks on the same, both for Penn State. And Clifford was the starter. Will Levis was the backup. So Sean Clifford stayed at Penn State. Will Levis transferred to, obviously, Kentucky and was picked by the Titans in round 2 yesterday. On the clock, we got the Buffalo Bills, who have made some good draft picks, in my opinion, in the first couple of days, and we'll see which way they're going to go here as we continue the 5th round, which is moving by pretty fast. And some overall thoughts on the draft as a whole. I give it a B. Coverage has been a little above average, but I thought it could have been better. ESPN's doing a decent job, but as my friend noted, the Twitter draft picks are coming out 30 seconds to even a minute before it's being announced on ESPN, and this was on day 1. Think about that. Like, you're watching ESPN, and yet the Twitter is getting the picks before ESPN's announcing them or NFL Network's announcing them, which is crazy. Bears are celebrating, and they should. The green room is definitely happy, and like I said, I gave them an A+ on day 3. Michael, I can't put your comments up. That Keith has to do that, but I see you said Sean Clifford was mocked to the Broncos. Wow, I didn't know that. And like I was just saying, Sean Clifford beat out Will Levis. So Will Levis transferred to Kentucky. Sneaky sneaky pick there for the Packers. Is he? They just gave up Aaron Rodgers and they drafted a quarterback in the draft.
Wow,
And
buddy.
Mr. Brugman's back.
He is. He is.
I was
Thank you
just
so much.
Michael, no problem. I was just chatting with Michael. He was saying how Sean Clifford was mocked to the Broncos, and I was saying Sean Clifford was the reason Will Levis transferred to Kentucky.
Wow.
He beat out Will Levis for the starting job, and Will Levis ended up transferring to Kentucky. And we all saw Will Levis go in the second round, and now the
Yeah.
Packers get him in the fifth round.
Wow.
And then
Kind
the
of surprising,
Bears,
man.
the Bears hit another late round, and they're the winners in day three, hands down. Penei Sewell's brother, Noah Sewell, inside linebacker out of Oregon, went to the Bears right before that.
Wow. Yeah, he did. Getting caught up, buddy. I appreciate you giving me that break, man. But a couple of big names, Noah Sewell. A lot of people had him kind of. I had him ranked very, very high. Linebacker out of Oregon, and maybe that's just my demographics being based out of here in Montana right now. But love Noah Sewell and Sean Clifford, man, to the Packers. A lot of different directions they could go. Sean Clifford backing up Jordan Love, it's at least it wasn't in the first round or anything like that. We're talking later rounds, but you'd love to, I'm sure even Jordan Love, not being Aaron Rodgers, but still just being Jordan Love, would have loved to seen some weapons rather than a backup.
Yeah, they seem to do this every year, the Packers, and it's just mind-boggling. Like, I really felt they could have went defense. Like, they don't have a very good defense. And if you don't want to go weapons, you go defense. You go and you draft Sean Clifford this early.
Yeah.
I don't know, little head scratcher there, to be honest with you.
Is that telling, do you think, of Jordan Love at all, or their confidence in Jordan Love? Does it make you? Are they a little more uncertain than maybe we were led on to believe?
If I had to give, I'm gonna say they're maybe 70% confident in him, 75% if I'm being generous. But to pick a quarterback here, you're not 100% confident in him.
Yep. Get caught up a little quick. Justin Shorter, wide receiver out of Florida, goes to the Buffalo Bills. They continue to try to bolster that wide receiver room. We were talking a little bit about that last night, as you know, quite honestly, they didn't have the largest room out there, especially when they're relying on a guy like Isaiah McKenzie, who was a former Bronco and was one of their best returners and wide receivers at times. So continue to add there. Mike Morris, edge rusher out of Michigan, goes to Seattle. So they continue the defensive run, going defensive tackle last round, going edge here. Detroit Lions pick is in, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock.
Curious to see which way the Lions go here. I'm going to probably say this could be a linebacker. I think they need some help there at linebacker. Well, no, I'm sorry. They took a linebacker early in the draft, so
yeah,
I take that back.
I think they're probably defensive line. Corey Trice is still on there, but looks like the pick is in. They go Corey Sorsadal out of William Mary, offensive lineman. So a little off the board from the guys I was looking at. Obviously, William and Mary, not a powerhouse of a school that I'm looking through. So usually, but offensive line, these are the rounds that you usually pick up those, like you were talking last round, the depth
smaller schools.
Pieces. Yep.
Yeah.
Team captain, all FCS, all American. Started 46 games at right tackle. Obviously, if you're team captain, if you're all FCS, even though that is, obviously not the big boy football, you're among the top, and this is where you seek out these type of guys, those one or two guys that are on these smaller school teams that can be an NFL player.
I think you got a new listener. Commenting in.
I'm jumping all over the board, buddy. So I appreciate you. Oh, Yeah, man. Yeah, there should be. I'm gonna jump it in here. Leanna Bentley coming in saying there should be no confidence in Jordan Love. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you bring in a guy like they did. It shows no vote of confidence in Jordan Love, as Kenny was saying. Maybe you're 70% on board with the idea here, but it doesn't look like Jordan Love's getting the 100% backing like the Packers are usually doing to their starting quarterbacks. I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah. How long have we went back since Aaron Rodgers walked out of that green room finally, and it seems like it's continued on ever since. They're going to continue that narrative. So sorry about that.
Here's a team that we haven't seen, the Buccaneers pick. I wonder if all these quarterbacks going and Matt Staffiero's guy's still on the board. Kid from Stanford. It's a little head scratcher.
Agreed. Yeah, they could go a lot of different routes here. They could go safety. They could go wide receiver. Tampa Bay. They're talk about a team that's kind of in rebuilding mode. Along those lines, buddy, Bruce Arians is gone. He's, maybe in that office, that front office, but can the Tampa Bays continue underneath the current coaching?
Sorry, here comes the Buccaneers pick.
Oh, no worries. I see it in front of me here, but I'll let you pull through on it. To me, it just seems like Bruce Arians to me is one of the largest masterminds in NFL. I put him right up there with Andy Reid. Here's a guy who's worked with anybody from Peyton Manning to Carson Palmer to you name it. I mean, he's been all over the place. I think that was a big loss when he stepped out of the head coaching role, and I think it's going to be a longer building process to get back to being true competitors for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So,
Servassier Dennis, a linebacker out of Pittsburgh. Buckus semifinals, so he hits, and he's a physical linebacker.
Yep.
And hey, the Buccaneers just lost Devin White, so that's a need. So I think I'm okay with that pick at this portion of the draft.
Agreed. Here's a guy that a lot of people were talking about later rounds for the Denver Broncos, and I'm gonna. I wish I had Knoppers here to maybe help me out here, but the Seattle Seahawks go with interior offensive lineman Olgason Olawatami. I believe that's Olawat. Yeah, I think I'm right. Olawatami, or somewhere close to that. But I struggle with the names. 6'3", 309-pound interior offensive lineman. Like we said, guys that we can continue to build depth. For me, again, as far as the interior offensive lineman, yes, we got Powers. Yes, we got McGlinchey. But I still think that we can upgrade even over minors, and certainly we could use some depth in the interior offensive line. That's why a lot of people had him mocked in the later rounds, for going to the Denver Broncos. So
ESPN has him listed as a center, which is pretty funny because you had Lloyd Cushenberry, center out of Michigan.
Yeah. Oh no, Cushenberry. Oh yeah, no, Cushenberry was out of LSU.
It was LSU. I thought. Why am I thinking Michigan? There was somebody in Michigan that got on the Broncos.
Last Michigan guy I really remember was Jake
I'm thinking
Butt.
of someone else then.
Jake Butt was our tight end. Michael Ronquillo coming in saying Terrell Davis and Jake Plummer will be announcing the Broncos 6th round picks. I was wondering when these guys were going to get in here, and they're going to be coming in from New Mexico when they do that. So that's awesome, man. Terrell Davis, obviously, one of the best running backs ever to grace a football field, certainly for the Denver Broncos. But I was a huge Jake Plummer fan. Jake the Snake coming out of Arizona, kind of helping resurrect the Denver Broncos during a time we needed it, and loved the way he played. Loved the arm. Jake was one of my favorite guys, so I'll be interested to see Jake go out, announce these picks for us. Like I said, just always been a fan. So
Yeah, I never had a problem with Jake the Snake. He was a nice pro. Nice pickup there for the Broncos back in the day.
yeah, nice little trade. Not very often you see trades for quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks. I know the Broncos have been involved in a few, but this is one that certainly worked out for us. And I really enjoyed the time that he played there. I was hoping that we would get a little bit further with him. Always played with the playoffs, but never really got to the big dance with Jake Plummer. So 49ers pick is in. Our hated rival in the Los Angeles Chargers will be on the clock next. And that'll be pick 156 on our way to possibly making it to your we got 24 minutes. I think we're going to make it to your 172 Giants, buddy.
Yeah, we'll make it. If it goes a couple minutes over, we'll hang around for the Giants.
All right,
pick.
buddy. All right, buddy. Well, Chargers, Ravens, Colts are our next three, and man, I thought I saw a name go through, but it hasn't went through as of yet. Darrell Luter Jr., cornerback, selected by the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm trying to even see what team he was with because they have an abbreviation. I don't even know the abbreviation, but he comes out of the All Sun Belt. He was third team All Sun Belt in 2022 and first team in 2021. My goodness, what's this?
Yeah, he's on my board here for the bottom of the fourth round. So I thought I saw his name.
Yeah. Let's see here. See if I can get a little bit more information on this pick, but Southern Alabama. The Southern Alabama Jaguars. I was wondering who the Salamanders were because they had a SALA. I was like, man, I'm trying to remember who the Salamanders are, but Southern Alabama Jaguars is where this cornerback comes out of. So I was trying to figure that out. So good top end speed. He ran a 4.46, broad jump 10 feet 3 inches, vertical of 40.5. Man, whew, getting up there.
Chargers pick is in. They take a guard out of Clemson, Jordan McFadden.
Wow. Yeah, he was a good one, man. I like Jordan McFadden. And like I was telling you a little bit earlier, those interior offensive linemen from those big schools, I think Jordan McFadden is a great pick, unfortunately, for the Chargers.
Unfortunately, he was first team All ACC.
Yeah, exactly. I remember watching him. College football does not grace my screen all that often, but I do take a look from time to time. I'm usually too busy on Saturdays is what it really comes down to, but Jordan McFadden is a nice prospect, especially this late in the round, and could be a nice rotational piece. I'd have to take a look at their roster, but might be a starting piece. I'd be surprised this late in the draft, but that being said, guy that I was looking for us as well. So there's a couple right now that went off. Like I said, Oluwatimi out of Michigan, I thought was going to be going a little bit later, but Jordan McFadden, fits right in right here. So Baltimore Ravens, Indianapolis Colts, Green Bay Packers is our lineup on the next three picks here, bud. And edge rusher is still needed. Cornerback is still needed for the Baltimore Ravens. They could pick up I don't think they picked up a running back, if I remember. And they could also use a running back if I'm not remembering that right. They already picked one up. I'm wrong, but certainly edge or a guy that I know that a Boilermaker went off the board that Matt Staffiero didn't care for all that much, but. Another Boilermaker I really like that I'm surprised has been hanging around. Maybe he'll hang around for us. Corey Trice Jr., cornerback out of Purdue. That would be a great pickup here. And their pick is in. And,
they're going to pick somebody special teams. I think you're going to see somebody in the secondary here. This is where you want to get special teams help and some depth, I think, in the secondary. Let's see which way they decide to go here. Because I think they took edge rusher earlier today.
I know that this guy did not have a good combine, but really looked good for especially for a team that's not going to get a whole lot of love. But one guy that I'm kind of surprised might be still hanging around is Andre Carter Jr. out of Army, edge rusher, and
Yeah,
it just goes to show. Sometimes we laugh about the underwear Olympics and how it doesn't mean anything, but here's a guy that did not look good at the combine, and if I remember right, he may have been at the Senior Bowl. Didn't help himself there. I might be
and
wrong.
what hurts the armed forces players coming out of the draft who are linemen or edge rushers is their size, because I don't think you can be over a certain size. I think
Mm,
there's a weight limit for the Army and Navy teams and Air Force. I think you can only be up to a certain weight. So that may hurt him. His size may be the reason why he's not picked yet.
that's a good point, bud. You brought up a couple of good points. Now, here is the armed forces, like you said. They're first and foremost they're serving our country, so there's standards that they have to meet there. Much like when you were talking about when Matt Staffiero was in our comments a little bit earlier and talking about the prospect out of Stanford as a quarterback. Great point. Here's a guy that these guys have got to be, you know, top minds in the athletic world if you're going to be at Stanford and competing on a football field as well. So I guess hats off to you, Kenny. I appreciate you bringing the knowledge and helping us out and kind of breaking down why things are the way they are.
My opinion. It's only my opinion. We
Can
obviously don't know what these scouts and coaches see. Just throwing our opinions out there, and some of them are right and some are off. So and
Kenny,
like I said, I was just gonna say, like I said 25 times, why are all the Georgia guys dropping? We'll find out when
right?
the season starts. Hey, are all these scouts and coaches wrong for letting them drop? Or,
Yeah,
you brought up a great point saying maybe it's because they're so elite together on the same team as opposed to one or two being elite. The whole team is elite. So
hmm
at the next level, is there room for improvement, or are they just going to did they already hit their ceiling?
yeah. Yeah, like you said, we're not experts. I'm going to get into a question on that. I have a question for you in just a moment. I'll just get caught up on the pick. This is a cornerback that a lot of people talked about, and we just got done talking about the team. Stanford's Caillou Blue Kelly, cornerback, goes to the Baltimore Ravens. Great, like zone coverage safety or cornerback, in my opinion. Only reason that I wasn't looking at him for the Denver Broncos is because I think we're going to be playing a lot more man with the defense that we'll be putting on the field. That being said, if you're looking for that free roaming, that zone coverage, free cornerback, I want to keep saying free safety, but cornerback, this is your guy. So great pickup if that's the scheme you're playing. Great athlete in that type of scheme.
It should be a big special teams contributor, I would say, as well.
Exactly. And the safety Daniel Scott goes to the Colts out of Cal. So, a question I had for you, Kenny. Me and you both do podcasts. You said a little bit earlier, we're not scouts, we're not these pros. This is the question I got for you. If you were to have a career in sports, I know that you already have one slightly with the K&K show, but what would you, if you could, even if you had to rewind, have a different education, go down a different path, what would be your dream job in sports?
My dream job in sports. I mean, have coached before. I like the
Oh,
coaching, but you put in a lot of time coaching. I enjoy the scouting, and I did that for a quick story while we're in commercial over here. Uh,
absolutely.
Kurt, uh, Kurt and Sis, and I met Sis through Kurt. We all coached. They coached a high school, uh, local high school team that a couple of NFL players went to. Chris Hogan, most recently, the
Mm,
receiver for Buffalo,
yeah.
and uh, Chris Sims also went to the high school that they coached at. But they brought me in to do some scouting for the freshman team, and the head coach found out how good of a job I was doing because back then we had the video cameras, and it was very easy to just go and record everything. But I borrowed the camera from Kurt, and quick story, Kurt, my co-host, forgot to charge the battery. So here I am with all the knowledge in my head on this team. Uh, I said when they ran this offense called the wing T, and I said when 80, I'll never forget the story. I said when 89 is in the game, they're running the opposite way. Shift that defensive line to the left. You're crazy. You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. I said, trust me. I watched it. You forgot the camera. If you want to lose, lose. Well, they did. They listened to me, and the team had maybe 20 yards off of offense that whole game. So the head coach had uh, found out about me, and he said he would love to have me on as a scout, but with work obligations, I couldn't do it. But NFL scout would be or not necessarily NFL, but a pro sports scout would be my dream job.
Awesome,
to find
buddy.
talent that people would never think about, to find that hidden gem, that would be my dream job.
That's awesome, buddy. That's awesome. I want to say hello to Clayton here on coming on and saying, hey, guys. Well, hey, Clayton. You probably know and recognize my face. I don't know. I'm dressed a little bit different. Got the shades on. That's usually not a DBR, but this is Keith. Kenny's over here on the just to the side of me over here. So over from the K&K Sports. And hey to you. Clayton's
What's up,
awesome because
Clayton?
he comes in here and he says, smash that like button and share, guys. Appreciate it, Clayton. Yeah, we appreciate you, obviously, but yeah, love it if you guys go out there, smash that like button, hit that share button, hit that notification bell, hit us up on Instagram and Twitter. Love to have the conversation, and certainly thank you very much, Clayton, for joining us at what might be kind of the end of what our coverage. I don't know if we'll be able to go all the rounds, but Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick over here is a big Giants fan. We're going to get through that pick, and then I think we're going to end up wrapping it up. Make sure you catch the Denver Bronco Roundup show Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. We will be recapping the entire draft, including the picks that we're probably going to miss out on in round 6. He says, what do you guys think of our picks so far? Love them. I love them. Yeah, I agree. Riley Moss was a guy that I liked, and we went up and got him as a cornerback. Marvin Mims, a guy I really liked. Surprised that we went up and got him, but I think he certainly is a talent and can replace a couple of guys maybe on our roster. Like I said, KJ Hamler first and foremost. Maybe Montrell Washington as well, as we've already brought in a kick returner, and I think Montrell Washington and KJ Hamler share that same skill set as a wide receiver, but yet here's a guy that actually maybe can stay on the field, unlike KJ Hamler, and Montrell Washington still has some work to do in order to get to that elite wide receiver. The linebacker, like I said, out of Arkansas, I wasn't as up to speed on, but everything I've seen so far, I'm loving, and I would say that we've done fantastic in the draft so far. Surprised at the moves we made, but not disappointed whatsoever. Clayton, appreciate you joining in, and that's kind of my breakdown on our picks so far. Kenny, do you have anything to add to what I just got done rambling on about?
You pretty much nailed it, but as someone who's not a Bronco fan, I think Broncos did well. You got a added receiver depth. There's all these rumors that Cortland Sutton may be on his way out, so you went and got a steal in Mims, in my opinion. I think the kid's going to be, legit receiver, could be a number 1, number 2 receiver down the line with Judy. Linebacker I love, and I brought you up to speed on him a little bit yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And Kurt, big Bronco fan on our show, K&K, loved the pick. And I loved the Riley Ross pick more than any of the picks in the 3rd round. You moved up for him because I believe Iowa, like I said, always has a great defense, and those receivers that he had to face in the Big Ten, I think he got the steal with him, and that's why they moved up so far to get him. They couldn't believe that he was sitting there, and that's why you move up that many spots. Is like when there's somebody sitting way above everybody else, like we need to move up to get this guy. He should have been taken picks ago, and that's why they moved up for him. So hats off, A- for the Broncos.
Man, thank you, buddy. Appreciate that breakdown, and I appreciate you being supportive of our Denver Broncos. It's a little bit easier when you're sitting over there in the NFC. You know, we'd be talking a little bit different if you're an AFC guy, maybe. Maybe not so rosy and smiling when you're talking about how well our team did. But you know, to that end, Giants have done fantastic as well. You guys have put together some great pieces. I know you're a Giants fan. You got to be excited for what's coming in the next season. I'm gonna get everyone just caught up on some picks really quick. Dontavian Wicks, wide receiver, goes to the Green Bay Packers, so they continue to add weapons for whatever quarterback there's going to be starting there long term. Safety Antonio Johnson, Texas A&M, guy I was talking about, guy I really liked. If we went safety, he goes to the Jaguars. Nick Hampton, edge rusher out of Appalachian State, heads over to the Rams. And your guy, buddy, Will Mallory, tight end, Miami, heading to the Colts. And now we're caught up as the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. Talk about any of them. I know Will Mallory is one guy that you liked, but feel free to talk about any of these picks I just named off.
Will Mallory, University of Miami. Like I said, their pedigree for tight ends is you can go back years and years. They put them out pro-ready tight ends, and I think Will Mallory is one of them. Miami had a down year as a whole, so I think that's what affected him most in this draft. But I do see him being a contributor with Anthony Richardson down the line. Down the line, he could be a starting tight end there for the Colts.
Yeah, I'll touch just a little bit on Nick Hampton out of Appalachian State. I saw this guy because, quite honestly, being a big Montana State University fan, this Appalachian State seems like a team that we match up every single year in the playoffs. Always a huge competitor, but this guy is a beast, quite honestly. One of those small school guys that you hope can translate all the way up into the NFL level, but ran a 4.5, 840. 39.5-inch vertical, a full 10-inch broad jump. But if you see this guy, he is just a beast, and really, honestly, one of the guys who blew up MSU at every turn, even though we were a very, very competitive team and in the championship this last year. So Nick Hampton is a guy I really like. The Bengals add running back Chase Brown out of Illinois, man. So boy,
there's the running back I had on this board here, 4th round. So they get a running back that they needed midway through the 5th.
100%. Any more information you have on Chase Brown there, buddy? Or
I don't in front of me. I would have to look it up. But
no,
another Big Ten running back. I mean, the power school. It's cold weather. He knows he should be a contributor for the Bengals.
Yeah. Guy that was obviously on my radar because the Broncos, as most people are thinking, are probably going to go for that receiving Alvin Kamara type of running back to be in a Sean Payton type of system. This was a guy that could fit that role, even though he's a little bit, I guess you could say, a little bit later in the rounds. You're looking for that talent. Pro comp on where I'm looking at, they're saying Kenneth Gainwell, just to kind of give you an idea. He ran a 4.43 40, so certainly cooking, and 40-inch vertical as well. Great prospect out of Illinois, and I think the Bengals will be happy with the guy they picked up. As always, when we get this late, could be a great special teams contributor as well. So Vikings, Bears, and Chiefs are where we're at for our next three, 164, 165, 166, respectively, on our way to the 173 pick of the New York Giants for our good friend Kenny Kirkpatrick.
All these running backs off the board. I don't know what the Giants can pick, but probably I'm going to say the special teams. Somebody that's going to contribute in special teams, or a nickel type, another corner or safety nickel nickel player, I think, is a good direction we can go with our next pick.
Awesome. I like that, buddy. Thanks for giving me a preview of that because team needs outside of our own sometimes is a little bit tough to
Yeah.
keep track of. So I appreciate you keeping track of your New York Football Giants. I was kind of reacting a little bit because the Minnesota Vikings did not think they needed a special teamer. They go out and they get Jaron Hall, quarterback, BYU. Hey, Kirk Cousins. A lot of people are saying, how much longer do you have Kirk Cousins? Much longer do you keep on that track before you look for a replacement? Jaron Hall, I really loved his arm. Needs to improve on some accuracy, but quarterback to the Minnesota Vikings here in this round. What do you think, buddy?
BYU, quarterback university. I mean, some pan out to be good, some don't. We'll see what happens with this kid, but Zach Wilson probably didn't pan out, right? You got Aaron Rodgers there. He can sit back and relax for the next 2 years. We'll see if he gets rejuvenates him and he wasn't just rushed. Because I think he was rushed with the Jets. But quarterback, Jaron Hall, like you said, huge arm, 51 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Minnesota indoors, he's gonna be able to air it out. And Kirk Cousins is probably seen. His days in Minnesota are probably numbered. So, if they find a quarterback here, hey, it's what's the expression I'm looking for? Like a diamond in the rough, right? You can find a diamond in the rough. At this point of the draft. So they needed one.
Yep. If nothing else, it adds a little bit of youth to their quarterback room. I know that again they tried for Kellen Mond a couple of years ago. I think he's actually out on the street, if I remember correctly. I don't think he was brought back this last year. So try on a second time around. Jaron Hall, like I said, I love the arm. I was really watching him at the combine, and unfortunately did not have the best combine. Maybe that's where he ends up slipping down here, and the Vikings could be finding that diamond in the rough. Chicago Bears take cornerback Terrell Smith out of Minnesota, and now the Vikings are on the clock.
And you're starting to see that second tier of corner safeties, even like linebackers go, which can be backup defensive players, but more importantly for these teams at this point, special teams players.
Yeah. Kansas City Chiefs pick us in. Defensive line is certainly someplace they could go. One guy I really like, whose name is still out there, is Moro Ojomo, defensive lineman out of Texas. And I don't know if that's the reason that the direction they're going, but certainly a name that could be big here for the Kansas City Chiefs or anybody picking up a defensive lineman, in my opinion.
Yeah, you never know what the Chiefs are going to do. They might take a wide receiver. You never know with them.
That's true.
There's one wide receiver that's surprised is still on the board, and that's this A.T. Perry from Wake Forest.
I agree, man.
A.T. Perry was moving up some boards. Late third, maybe late third to middle of the fourth round, and he's here late in the fifth round. Really surprising me a little bit.
Yeah, it becomes tough. I talked about it at the very, very beginning, day one, about slides in this draft. But I think that there is so much mid-round value that a lot of teams are seeing that, depending upon the position of need, that's pushing some of these guys down. But A.T. Perry, in my opinion, is a little bit outside the norm. I would have expected him to go by now, but here he still sits, like you said. So someone I think is going to get a good prospect in A.T. Perry whenever he is picked here in this draft. We're almost there, buddy.
You gotta love when they show the kids and they get all emotional when they get drafted. Chase Brown is showing how emotional he is with the Bengals when they picked him. Awesome. Gotta love that. Family with them.
Yep. It's funny. I was watching a little bit of highlights from last year's draft, and last year we picked Nick Bonito and very similarly it went through this like a range of emotions, from exhilaration to tears to just absolute joy. It was in just a short snippet of a phone call where a couple people got on the phone with him and told him they were picking him. That kid went through just such a great range of emotions, and hopefully we all want Nick Benito to be that player. It was funny when he got on the phone with our defensive coordinator at the time. First thing he said to him is like, "Hey, buddy, we need to set that edge. It all starts there, man. We got to set that edge." And that's one thing that honestly Nick Benito has been kind of struggling with. He needs to go out there and he needs to set the edge. If he's able to improve his game that way, he could be an explosive player like we expected him to be. So, yeah, it's good seeing those emotions. I'm glad Chase Brown was finally taken off the board. I'm sure it's later than what he wanted, but I think he's going into a great situation with the Cincinnati Bengals too.
Here's a fun fact. Sidney Brown is his twin brother. I forgot about that. And they were both selected. See where Sidney Brown was selected. That's right. I remember them. Cool. I remember twins on Illinois. I watched a game. I forget who they played, but they were on TV, and they were twins, and they both got selected. They're the sixth set of twins that got selected in the same draft.
That's cool, man. You gotta love stories like that, I guess you could say. So, B.J. Thompson.
I'm sorry, Keith.
I was gonna say B.J. Thompson's safety went to the Kansas City Chiefs. So just to kind of get us up to speed.
See where the twin brother went. Eagles safety Sidney Brown with 66th pick was the Eagles pick. And the brother, and they're from Canada, by the way, too. Ontario, Canada.
Wow.
Up north there. But no, the twin brothers, good for them. Gotta love that.
Absolutely. Even the Griffith brothers who ended up in Seattle together, that was a good story too, man. I like stories like that as well. That reminds me, as you said, a couple of Canadian kids here. I don't know if you've seen the commercial for Crown Royal with Dave Grohl. I believe it was a Super Bowl commercial, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
That cracked me up. So it's like, and football. Really? Football?
Yeah.
So those Canadian boys, don't rule them out just because they're Canadian. They understand the football game quite a bit. And that actually CFL's kind of fun to watch every now and then. So
yep. And, another funny thing about these twin brothers, I wonder if, and they're both on good teams, so it's possible. Eagles and Bengals Super Bowl. You're talking about the Super Bowl. I wonder if we know the Kelsey brothers, but they're not twins. I wonder if twins ever played against each other in the Super Bowl.
Oh boy, I would like to know how many. Well, let's see.
No, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. They never did. This is only the sixth set of twins, but I think got a decent shot. The Bengals and Eagles to get to the Super Bowl. It might be history if they make it to the Super Bowl and face each other. And it's funny because the one brother's on offense and the one's on defense.
So truly matching up against each other, unlike the Kelsey twins.
Yeah,
or the Kelsey brothers, I should say.
Kelsey brothers.
Was Tiki Barber and his brother, were they twins?
They were.
They were, okay. But they never did end up playing, obviously. Super
no, because they both played one Tiki with the Giants, and Roundip played his whole career with the Bucks. So
that's right. Yeah, of course they wouldn't be able. Yeah, you're right. I was just trying to think of, how many sets of twins have we actually had,
Yeah. I have to go back and look. That'd be pretty wild if them two face each other down the line in the Super Bowl.
Let's see. We got Michael Ronquillo coming in saying 9 more picks for the Giants. So
but I think that was a little while ago, right?
It might have been a pick or two. I'm trying to get caught up on these comments. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm trying to be up to speed.
Oh no! I thought that was.
Yeah, I guess it was a few picks ago because we did have another pick come in. This was a guy that a lot of people were in love with, and why not, coming out of Alabama, Henry Tuotoo or whatever his last name is.
Oh, oh, oh,
Um,
oh.
yeah, Tuotoo. I'm going to have a hard time until it's pronounced a few times on Sunday, probably. But it goes to the Texans, buddy. So
Try and say his last name 5 times fast.
yeah, I was doing tongue twisters on the show to start yesterday because, man, I ran into a string of words I shouldn't have put together, man. I'll just put it that way. So, but yeah, I mean, here's another just elite guy out of the Alabama program. I'm surprised he lasts this long. I think he's, again, coming out of a program like that, you already got a step ahead, in my opinion. So, should be a great contributor, if nothing else, and wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing him, consistently on the field on Sunday.
And I missed who drafted him.
The Texans.
Wow.
Yeah.
2 Alabama guys, Will Anderson and Totello.
That's right. That's right. Look at you, buddy, man. You're
Teammates,
all on top of this, man.
Gotta love it.
Another set of teammates. So
gotta
Arizona, Dallas is up next, and then the Jets. Another little bit of, you got your NFC East rival picking just a few spots in front of you, buddy. So hopefully they don't take your dream player there. So
I'm trying to see who would be my dream player in this round. Let's see who we got.
All right,
I like the kid from Purdue, like you do. Like you also like Corey Trice.
Yep. Arizona Cardinals select Owen Popo, linebacker out of Auburn. So
that's a good pick. I don't know too much about him, but he's listed here in the middle of the 4th round. So
yeah,
Kurt would be a good guy. I'm a Burn fan, but I'm going to give
just kind of
like.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
For the linebacker for the Giants, it's seen a string of linebackers go. Ivan Pace Jr. out of Cincinnati.
Ivan Pace Jr., Cincinnati. Yeah,
he's decent. Yeah, he's middle linebacker. I don't know if we need that, but you need depth. We just picked up. I can't think of his name. The Colts middle linebacker off the top of my head. I can't think of his name, but it'll come to me. But I could see that being a play. Did anybody take Luke Whippler out of Ohio State?
No, center Luke Whippler. Last time I looked, was still sitting out there. I'll double check here real quick. But
I don't think we'll go center, but you never know.
Luke Whippler and Jarrett Patterson, kind of an all-line interior offensive lineman out of Notre Dame, is still sitting out there. He plays center as well. So
those would be the top 2 I would go.
Okay.
Running back out there, if we need because I think we could still go running back. Zach Evans out of Mississippi.
Nice. Yeah, Zach Evans.
Eric Gray is still out there from Oklahoma.
There's a guy I'm surprised on. Eric Gray, had a lot of people loved what Eric Gray put on the field. I had a few guys, actually, Jeff Britt, who joined us on day one, part of the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. It sounds like he's going to be joining that team. He was big. Of course, he's from Oklahoma, but he was a big Gray fan. So good pick there. Cowboys pick is in. Jets are on the clock.
We got
nice Rams and Giants, buddy.
Here's a fun fact from Michael. Michael's a twin. His twin brother's name is Matthew.
Hey, there you go, buddy. Michael and Matthew, man. Well, man, tell me, Michael, is it true? I mean, do you have that I guess that sixth sense, that connection? Especially, I want to know it like miles apart. Do you quote unquote feel your brother or feel his thoughts or anything like that? Always intrigued me, and don't have any twins in my family, so running in yours, let me know, buddy. I'd love to know that.
And then my question to Michael, because I know I grew up with some twin athletes, and they like sports, and they don't like the same teams in any sport. So I'm gonna guess Matthew is not a Bronco fan. Is that correct, Michael?
Well, that's interesting. I like that too, buddy. You had to have your.
If I remember correctly, Bears and Cowboys are their favorite teams. The Twins that I know, Bears and Cowboys.
And we just brought up the Barber twins, and you look at them, their offense and defense even, so funny that you bring that up. Asim Richards, offensive tackle out of North Carolina, goes to the Dallas Cowboys, buddy.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I don't know too much about him. And there it is, Packers. That's why. See, it's the
There, yeah.
competitiveness. You can't like the same teams if you're twins. I'm telling you that.
Wow. Yeah. There you go. Michael Ronquillo, good buddy, good friend, I'm sorry, good friend, yes, Michael Ronquillo, but his twin brother, even though Michael Ronquillo is a DB, Denver Bronco fan for life, DB4L, here's his brother, man, not feeling love Packers. That must have been, Michael, are you old enough to remember the Broncos Packers Super Bowl? How was that in your household? Were you guys sitting next to each other for that game? That would have been an interesting one. It would have been a tough one to sit side by side and watch that game go down to the wire like it did. That How interesting, man! Nailed it, Kenny. You nailed it.
They got 3 picks to Giants, by the way.
Yep. We got our hated rival, our disliked rival in the AFC West in the Las Vegas Raiders, currently on the clock. And next we'll have the Rams and then your New York Giants, and I think we'll wrap it up from there. If that sounds good, Kenny.
Sounds good. It's funny. The Raiders usually have bad drafts. They're actually having a pretty good draft this year around.
Yeah,
on paper, anyway, in my opinion.
And you got to remind me of the name of the GM that came in. He was a booth guy for years, and he came in and he joined Gruden, and I just thought that was going to be just like a match made in heaven, and they were going to come out and just kill the draft. And
he was on NFL Network. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah. But my goodness, I don't know if they could have put together worse drafts as they were sitting all together.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was a project gone wrong in so many different ways. So, the Raiders redeeming themselves, and really, as Matt Staffiero in the comments section earlier pointed out, honestly, the AFC West has done fantastic. Can't really knock their picks. Can't point and snicker at all. They've done quite well, and the pick is in for the Raiders, and we're on to the Los Angeles Rams, and then on to your New York Football Giants, buddy.
Since we're coming up to the Giants, let me ask you a question about the Broncos. What do you want to see them do the rest of the draft?
Yeah,
because it's getting late. It's getting late now in the draft.
Yeah. Obviously, when you looked at our needs to begin with, center was a big need. But again, if you're going to, a lot of people are not as high on Cushenberry. I'm higher on Cushenberry than probably anybody over in Denver Broncos Mile High Country. I think there's still a possibility with the coaching that we have, with the pieces that we put around him, that he can still turn the corner and be a productive center. Even if he continues at the level that he's at, there's no way that you pick up a center that's going to be competitive and or beat him out, in my opinion, this late. So as you said, you're looking for those guys. I think we picked up the cornerback. Kareem Jackson is someone we're maybe toying about bringing back at safety. I'd love to see him add a safety. I think there's still some depth and some quality players to be added there, and they can, again, translate over to the special team side of things. We still need a running back, and running backs can certainly be picked up in later rounds. So that would be my second spot, and then maybe the outlier. I'd have to take a look at the board again. I think most of our guys are gone, maybe outside of the Stanford quarterback that we talked about earlier, but maybe a quarterback as well, just to round out that run. Guantaro is our third quarterback on the roster. He doesn't need to be. We could add to that room and maybe build towards the future. So those would be my top 3 picks, buddy.
Fair enough. I like it. I'm going to go bold. Matt Staffiero's guy is still out there, the quarterback. Daniel Jones is our answer. We gave him the money, $40 million a year. Our backup, Tyrod Taylor, his contract's running out this year. We don't have a third string quarterback because of what's his name becoming a quarterbacks coach now. Uh, our third string quarterback. I can't think of his name right now. Got all these names in front of me, so I can't think of his name.
Yeah, I hear you, buddy.
But I could see the Giants going somewhere in this draft as early as this pick coming up for a quarterback. You got to have a plan here in the fifth round. Is Tyrod Taylor? You're going to want to pay him backup money. You gave
Yeah.
Daniel Jones $40 million. Do you want to waste money on Tyrod Taylor? When his contract's up, so you got no backup next year. You're
Yeah.
gonna have to go out and find somebody, or do you draft somebody with hopes that they can become the backup? And a guy like Matt pointed out earlier has dropped significantly here, and he might be the one that I take a shot with.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I love Tyrod Taylor for years and years, but that's just it. Tyrod Taylor has been around for years and years at this point, so great veteran presence. I think he really understands the game of football, but as far as where you're at and what your future looks like, at some point you do have to move on from a guy like Tyrod Taylor. He's not going to ever push for Daniel Jones's job. Why not bring in a young guy? I like the idea, buddy. Christopher Smith, the second out of Georgia, is who the Las Vegas Raiders ended up picking up. The pick is in for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the New York Football Giants are on the clock. Oh, and Tampa Bay has already got their pick in. So I'll just go ahead and get there so we can talk about the Giants as long as you want, buddy. Payne Durham, tight end out of Purdue, is who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pick up.
And
Uh,
Payne Durham was on my list here, one spot above Will Mallory. So another
mm,
good value tight end pick there for Tampa Bay, and a need. A need. The
y-
Giants, I think, can go any way here, Keith. I think, like I said, quarterback couldn't be in play.
mhm.
Special teams, added depth in the secondary, added depth. Uh, the kid from Army's out there, Andre Carter.
Yeah,
Added depth. BJ Ojari, Aziz Ojari, excuse me. BJ, the brother, got drafted by Arizona.
yep,
Aziz Ojari, a lot of injuries. Kayvon Thibodeau, second year. We can maybe use some depth at edge, and that could be a need here. And
yeah.
kid from Army's dropped probably because of his size. But you take a shot maybe here with him, and he can back up Thibodeau or Ulajari and come in on certain schemes. A lot of different directions. Running back, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
there's a lot of different ways that the Giants can go, and their pick is in. It's saying so. We'll
it
see
is.
if they make that pick before they come back from commercial on ESPN or after.
All right. Payne Durham, real quick, out of Purdue. That was a name I also had on my list. Big blocking tight end. Um, not Here's a guy 6'6", 253 pounds, ran a 4.87. He's not going to be your speed guy. Thought maybe that was a possibility later rounds for the Denver Broncos. But I agree, and I want to throw one more name for you. Oh, but I already got it. I was going to say Jalen Redmond out of Oklahoma, but the pick is in, buddy. And you got one of your wishes. Did pick up one of the spots that you like.
Let's see. Here it comes from my end.
All right, I'll let you wait for it. Be surprised with the rest of everybody.
Eric Gray, Oklahoma. I like it. And that's insurance if we don't get Saquon now. But
Agreed.
also a backup now. Most likely backup to Saquon, and somebody that Saquon he can learn from Saquon a little bit. I think that's nice
Yeah,
value there for the Giants. And hats off to Shane, Joe Shane again.
yeah.
Picking up good value here in the fifth. We got four more picks remaining, by the way, the Giants. So might
Nice,
still get
buddy.
that quarterback. Might still
You
get
still got a
that
chance.
quarterback before the draft is over.
Yeah, I like the pick, buddy. Like you said, whether it's a move from Saquon, whether, like I said, heaven forbid, I'm not wishing on this. I'm knocking on some wood as we speak. But if Saquon happens to get injured for some reason as he holds out, man, way to back that up with a little bit of a reserve in Eric Gray, a guy that can go out there and be a powerhouse. Led the Big 12 in Big 12 in yards per rush average at 6.4, and second in yards per game at 113 yards per game out of the Big 12. So
Nice.
great pickup, buddy.
Thank you. I think that's a good one too. I had him on my list here towards the back of the 4th round, and we got him in the back of the 5th round. So again, good value.
Michael just reminded me, and Michael, I wish I could stick around, but I think unfortunately in the other half of my life, the part that pays the bills is going to pull me away. Broncos are only 13 to go. Kenny, before I get out of here, I just want, before we get out of here, thank you for being part of the Denver Bronco Roundup today. Thanks for helping provide day 3 coverage. You're fantastic. Your knowledge is great. You understand where the draft is, and now I understand why. Heck, you were a scout, a coach, everything. I need to catch up on your history a little bit more,
Absolutely.
and learn a little bit more about Kenny. I thought I knew a little bit more than I did, but Kenny, I'm going to give you one more chance to go ahead and plug that great K&K show and everything you guys got going on over there before we get out of here.
Oh, thank you, Keith. Again, it's always a pleasure to join you guys, Denver Bronco Roundup. You guys, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, you guys are the best. I mean, I'm a Giants fan, and I'm interested in what you guys talk about every week. And just look, we came on, we said we're gonna do an hour, right? Well, we did 3 hours. You know, that's how much fun I had doing this, which so appreciate that. And I'm just gonna plug real quick, Keith, K&K Sports Show. We talk all sports. Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock. I'm sorry, 8:30 Eastern time. No, wait a minute. It's been a long day.
Yeah, go ahead.
7:30 Eastern time. 7:30 Eastern time, Wednesday night. You guys like Nuggets? You guys like the Avalanche? You guys like the Broncos? We'll talk about anything out there. So you please join us on Wednesday nights, K&K Sports Show, and we do other shows as well on other nights, which we'll always give you info on throughout the months coming up. But thank you, Keith, for having me today. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you for the last couple hours, talking the draft and some other stories in between.
Awesome, Kenny. Well, Kenny, I know that you have plans for dinner. You got to go ahead and get ready. Have a great one. Again, thank you so much for joining. And always, of course, welcome on back to the Denver Bronco Roundup anytime, man. Just raise your hand. Let me know. We'll get you on the show. Appreciate you guys a ton.
I may take that off and hang out with you guys a little bit on Tuesday night.
That'd be great, buddy. That'd be great. In the meantime, say hi to everybody over at K&K and tell them we love you guys, because we do, okay?
Likewise, my
All right.
friend.
Have a great night, buddy.
Good night.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate you joining what coverage we could provide, especially on day 3. Covered you all of day 1. Got you all of day 2. And tried to get you as far into day 3 as I possibly can. But unfortunately, work is going to call me away. Thank you guys so much. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure that you're hitting that bell. It really does help us out a ton. Thank you to Rocky Mountain Sports Network for always being the network that brings you the Denver Bronco Roundup. Thank you to Willow Seasonings and Blends, who we didn't mention today, but is our fantastic sponsor. Head over to willowseasonings.com. Type in DVR 2023 to get 15% off and help out our friend who is a Rocky Mountain Sports Network supporter and unfortunately passed away. We're going to help his family by doing a $1 donation through there. Thank you guys so much. Again, we'll be back on Tuesday, 6:30 p.m., round up and wrap up all this draft coverage. We appreciate you so much. Thank you guys, and until next time, until Tuesday at 6:30, we'll be hanging out there, getting all your knowledge and bringing it to you. And until then, talk to you later, guys.